Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Absolutely Women's Football Show. We just need a bit of calm and a bit of patience in the chat, don't we? We were just having a nice little chat backstage, and you know what? It gets you all ready and waiting for the football content that we know you want. So yes, I do have the time. It's currently 8:34 and 27 seconds. Thank you very much. And we're gonna talk football, Emma. Don't you worry.
And service stations.
And service stations and everything in between. Because who says an award-nominated football podcast just has to be football? Because that's a bit boring, isn't it? So, good evening. I have to say, though, Mark, you weren't first this evening. Emily, you were first. Well done. And good evening. Good evening to Emma, of course. Good evening to Graham. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to Matthew. I love that the gang's all here.
Emily was here at 6:44, by the way. That's impressive.
I mean, that is impressive. I mean,
That's even,
Yeah, God's star, Emily. God's star.
That's commitment.
I was in the back
we were
room
barely
at
here at
8:29.
So there you go. But we are here now. There we go. And of course, our lovely Sam is in the chat as well, saying, "Evening, you legends." Yes, Sam, thank you very much. Now, we currently have Champions League games going. No, Champions League games. Hey, I pluralized the right one. Going on. Chelsea were 1-0 down, and they're now 2-1 up. Thanks to Ashley Lawrence, I believe, who has just scored, and it is in the 33rd minute. So if you do see me looking down this way, I'm not being ignorant. I've got the match on on my other screen. And Matthew's telling us all about it. So if anyone's watching the other game, I believe it's Roma Leon as well. Do keep us updated just in case we miss it. So, but of course, I can't ever do this by myself. Danny, lovely to see you. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you? Hello to everybody in the chat, of course.
Of course, yes. We can't do it without the chat as well, can we? Paul, how are you doing?
Not too bad. Ticking along, paying tribute to your red eyes. That's what
I did
is.
say before the show, didn't I? I was like, I need a coffee. I need something. My eyes are killing. And Paul, in solidarity, has the red makeup.
I also need to thank, actually, because the topical tag for this week was actually suggested by one of the people in the chat. It was Tony who suggested it.
Well, hey.
So people are now suggesting topical tags.
Which we love.
Which we love. So do more. If something happens in the WSL and you think it'd make a good topical tag, shout me.
Hashtag topical tag.
Topical tag.
And it feels like forever since I've seen you. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. I think the last time I was on there, I talked about us losing to Newcastle, and we've won every game since. So I think that was, the start of things to come, was me talking complete utter, anger on this podcast. So I'm taking, a little bit of credit for it, just a smidge.
Well, exactly. And from now on, you can be the look that Sunderland need to be guided back to another.
I hope so. They're playing well now, to be fair. So I've got nothing to complain about as a Sunderland front. So that's good. Just a pity, I can't get both teams playing well at the same time. You know what I mean? Because the lads have started to drop off a little bit now. So
it's like a bit of a paradox. You can't have one without the other. Yeah,
you can't have everything. I can't be happy for 1 week.
It's just toying with your emotions, and that's exactly what it's doing. I'm going to need to Russ. He's joined us. Emily's asked where Rosie is, and Graham, you're absolutely right. Probably stuck in a loft somewhere. Yeah, absolutely. We haven't heard from her for a while, actually, so we probably should check in to make sure she's able to get out of said loft.
I must admit, every time Rosie's not on this podcast, I do get worried about where she is. I get to see her next week because it's the awards night, so that should be all right.
Yeah, if we can get her there.
She's brought your black computer. A new black computer.
Oh, she was on Twitter the other day, so she's alive. Wonderful. Good. The other day. Well, we'll give her another few days, and then we'll check in. Right then. So, plan for this evening, I thought we'd do Championship, latest news to break it up a little bit, then WSL. And then anything else that we can think of, really, to go through. So let's start with the best league in the world, even if their replays don't have commentaries, timing, or scores. So you've just got to guess what happens. So, Anne, we're going to come to you for this first one. Southampton 1, Durham 1.
Mhm.
Now, Southampton dominated, but just couldn't seem to get the 3 points, could they? So talk us through this one, if you please.
Do you know what it is about Durham at the minute? And it pains us to see it, being a Sunderland fan, but they do find a way to get a result. Like, you know, there's a few games where you think, yeah, they'll lose this one. I remember they were first team to beat Newcastle a few weeks ago, and it was pretty much the same game where, you know, Durham's goalkeeper Tatiana Son has made, you know, 3 or 4 great saves. Newcastle have put everything, you know, behind it and all that. Couldn't get the goal. Durham went the other end and scored. Exactly the same thing happened on Sunday, apart from Southampton did actually find a way through. But they absolutely dominated the game. And, you know, I know a few Durham fans have said that Southampton's probably the best side they've played this season, and they've still got a draw, which goes to show how well Durham are doing. I've got to be honest, if I'm a Southampton fan and I'm wanting Southampton to go up, and this is no disrespect to Durham at all, because Durham can go top like this week coming, you've got to be beating sides like Durham at home. And like I say, it's nothing to sound, you know, patronising or taking nothing away from that result. But, you know, I don't think Durham will be up there at the end of the season. I expect Southampton to. So those are the games where, you know, this league's going to be last day of the season again, isn't it? I don't think anyone's going to run away with it unless, you know, London or Newcastle decide to buy God knows who in January. But
Itana, come this way.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Get Beth Mead or something. But you know, you can when you're looking back on the season. I remember this was probably said about us last year that these are the games you need to win, and they didn't. And you know, they scored a nice goal as well. It was a nice little chip goal, wasn't it? By I want to say Palmer was Amy Palmer won it. Only at Bairns, so good to see her getting like a first goal and everything. But you've got to put them games to bed. You know, if you're 1-0 up, you score early, you've got to be winning that game 2 or 3-0. And then they've let Durham come back into the game. Durham have always had, you know, a reputation of scoring late. And they've done it again through Molly Lambert, who normally saves her goals for Sunderland, to be honest. Nice to see she does score against the other side. She's a great girl, Molly, so she'll laugh at that anyway. But you've got to give credit to Durham that the start that they've had, yes, it was, you know, I want to say the easier games, you know, the likes of Portsmouth and Sheffield and all that stuff. But you've got to win them, and they've won them. And now they're more than holding their own against the better sides in the league. So the fact that I think Durham have only lost twice this season, Sunderland were one of them, they're bang up there. But it's just opened the league wide open again, hasn't it? You know, a few more results that obviously we're going to go into tonight. Sorry, just fair play to them. I've got to give credit where it's due, even though it's through gritted teeth. But they set themselves up that you know what Durham are going to do. They're going to be strong. They're going to be strong in the tackle. You know, they are going to, you know, disrupt sides, and they get the results at the end of the day. So the proof's in the pudding, to be fair.
No, it is, absolutely. And because they didn't really sign many, did they? So we all said, you know, they were struggling last season. They haven't really done much to sort it out. So we all thought, it's going to be like another relegation battle. They're going to be, you know, bottomish end of the table. But like you said, they've just come out this rejuvenated side, and the managing to nick these points where it really matters from these top guys. Yeah,
I think a lot as well has been the managerial change, where he hasn't really changed much about them, but he's got them a little bit more direct. But they're getting the goals from all over the park as well. You know, you're seeing, you know, Carly Johns, who for me was a fantastic signing, but I think she's only scored once for them, once or twice. But like the likes of Lily Crosswaite's banging them in. You know, Molly Lambert, as I mentioned before. I think Novak scored a couple as well. So they're finding goals from other places, which is good. That's going to suit them well for the end, you know, towards the end of the season. I still think, you know, there may be 1 or 2 key injuries away. And obviously, Sarah Robson's not going to be playing anymore this season, which I think is a blow anyway. But we'll see what happens. I do think they'll fall away because just don't think they've got the strength and depth. But, you know, the way they're going, fair play to them.
Yeah, no, they're doing much better than we all expected, absolutely. Right, let's talk about Game result that we can be very happy about. Bristol City 2, Newcastle 0. What a great result for the Robins. Newcastle weren't without their chances though. Beth Lumsden almost striking again. But yeah, even Bristol, they were down to 10 players near the end, weren't they? So
does anyone know what for? Because I've watched the replay and I still don't know what she got sent off for.
I couldn't find it anywhere. So the only thing I can think is that second yellow, because the tackle happened to, I can't remember her name, but it wasn't her, was it? So I think something's happened. She's then shouted at the ref to be like, she's down, you need to stop playing. What are you doing? So I think it might have been for dissent.
Really? Yeah. Because it was the winger, isn't it? The Bristol City winger, wasn't it, who went down?
Yes.
And then you're like, I thought, oh, well, obviously they must have sent the Newcastle player off. And I'm like, what she sent her off for? But the bother is,
you weren't even involved. Like, what have you done? But yeah, if you watch it and watch for her, I had to do it like 10 times. But she was really, really angry. So I think she's said something. But it's not mentioned in any report, well, there's no commentary on the game either. So yeah, just nothing at all.
We don't know. We should get the referee on. You got to say with Bristol that they were proper hot and cold side, aren't they, this season? You know, I thought they'd be like bang up there. I know they lost the manager, didn't they, early on in the season and stuff, and they've lost a few players and stuff, but they've still got a good side, haven't they? Like a really good side. I thought they might have like won more games than what they have done. You know, I know we beat them last week, and we had to be very good to beat them. Don't get us wrong, we had to play really well in the second half, and a lot of the first half was dominated by Bristol City. But my worry is about them. At times, I think they don't put the domination into goals, but they did that against Newcastle. They scored at the right times. You know, you scored just before half time. You know, I think it was Marie Ward, wasn't it, who's got the first one. Just before half time. And then Lexi Lloyd-Smith, who I think is one of the best players outside of the Super League, to be honest. What a footballer she is. She gets the second one. And it just completely sucker blows Newcastle, doesn't it? The fact that the 2-0 down in a matter of minutes. I know there's a 15-minute break in between, but you come out with a game plan in the second half, and then 2 minutes in, and hello, in 2 minutes in, that game plan's completely out the window, isn't it? So yeah, a great result for Bristol. And again, it's, as I said before, it's just opened this league wide open now. You've got like teams in 8th who were 6 points off the top with a game in hand. You know what I mean? This league's going to be just as exciting, if not more exciting, than last season. You're going to have like 6 teams at the end of the season, all vying for top.
It's like 8 teams and there's 3, isn't there? It's like a group of 8, then a group of 3 that are on single figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, look at this. Look at these points. So you got 19, 16, 16, 14, 14, 14, 14, 13, 4, 3, 1.
Yeah. And it goes to show as well, doesn't it? Like that's the level of being a pro side, and I know obviously some of them are a hybrid side, but the majority of them are pros, and all the rest of them are pro sides. Obviously Sheffield are, but they're offering peanuts. Blackburn are, but they're offering peanuts. The Portsmouth aren't, and the proof's there, isn't it? They're the 3 that are struggling. But what I was going to say as well, it just opens up as well when you look at that league table. How more exciting it would be if 2 got promoted, wouldn't it? How exciting!
Imagine.
Yeah. Give us what we want.
Yeah. So if anyone's listening from the WPLL, that's exactly what we need and exactly what we want. And I think as well, it would just there'd be a lot more jeopardy, because at the minute in the WSL, you've just not got to be the worst.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Whereas if there were 2 at the bottom, that would make things a lot more interesting. So yeah, watch this space, hopefully.
Yeah.
Especially
space. When you look at like last season, when we were all like kind of hoping that Bristol City would turn around. Well, Bristol City were relegated by October, weren't they, really? Because they just got off to that bad of a start. And fair play to Palace this year, because Palace, I think, have done very, very well, to pick up the win early on. They've got a good draw. Probably should have won on Sunday. But you're looking at, they've still got a lot of the top sides to play. Is that going to be they'll get tailed off or not? But even if they don't, and there's a little bit of a fight towards the end of the season, how that would be for the likes of your West Hams, your Evertons of this like that league, that could get pulled in if 2 went down. You know, it just makes it a little bit more. I think it'll make it a lot more exciting, to be honest.
It would, however, as Villa are currently in that penultimate spot.
We'll not have Villa coming down. Let's not do that.
No. Oh, that would just be the kick on top of everything else, wouldn't it? If if that happened. And did you say you've got a pop off at 9?
9:30.
9:30, right? Okay, perfect.
Sorry, everyone in the chat. I know I got abused for this last time, but I have family commitments. 9:30 at night.
And you did bring a note. It has been signed, so I have given it to the office. They've agreed that you can leave early. That's fine.
And the teachers double checked that it wasn't your parents' writing. It was.
Do you ever remember? Did you ever have it at school where people would be like, "Who's got the best adult handwriting?" at like secondary school, and they'd try and like forge notes for like PE to get you out of things. Yeah. Awful. I don't know how they thought they could get away with it. Like I was looking at it going, stupid, like that's never going to wash. Funny enough, it didn't.
I can remember someone at school once putting like a note from the mother saying, "Dear, like Mr. Who, I can't remember who it was now. Terry isn't coming to school because I have hurt my hand, not because they have hurt their hand." No, that got ripped up to shreds, I think.
Oh, that's fantastic. See, the power of proofreading as well. They would have spotted it if they they would have done it. Oh, perfect. Right then, Danny, I believe we've come to you next then. London City 1, Birmingham City 2. A massive win for Birmingham after last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And this is really weird for me because on Saturday, I'm going to mention very briefly men's football. I'm sorry. But on Saturday, I know, it'll be quick and you won't even know it's happened.
Never catch on.
Yeah, never catch on. No. I was in a 2,500 strong away end at Birmingham on Saturday in the men's game, seeing a minnow like Northampton Town get a point in the 97th minute, going ballistic and injuring myself and still suffering from a sore throat now, willing us on against the team that have got loads of money. So it was really ironic that then on Sunday coming to this game and watching it on the YouTubes, really hoping that Birmingham would then go and beat a team with loads and loads of money. So it was just a really odd weekend, but enjoyable game, and enjoyable that Birmingham got the win, of course. I think we can agree. But they're 3 points clear at the top now after beating London City. Went there. Big win. You've got to win these types of games. Like Ant was saying earlier, it's such a close league that if you go and beat one of these opponents in there, then it gives you a massive gap and like a really good psychological boost as well. And Birmingham had lost to Newcastle last weekend, but bouncing back. 2 centre-backs with the goals, Neve Heron and Gemma Lawley, both with the headers. Always good to see. Bit of old school there, just 2-headed goals, nice and easy. Lucy Thomas pulled off a good save from Izzy Goodwin in the second half. They eventually got back in it through Georgia Bruffam. But it was just a little bit too late. It was about 4 minutes left, I think it was, when she scored it. But I thought Birmingham were more than enough on their performance to justify the win. Fairly close possession-wise, but on shots and target, shots off target, they were dominant. So for them to go and put in that kind of performance, not just the result, the performance to go and enforce themselves on London City and say, look, we're the Championship, you're not there yet. Get out of our faces. It's like the big kid in the school playground, and a little kid comes in and is like, "Oh, let me have some of that." Birmingham are having none of it. So it's just nice to see London City knock down a couple of pegs at the weekend. It's enjoyable.
And we shall enjoy talking about it all the more as well.
You know what I think might eventually happen, which I've been saying for years, which would happen. And it's finally come to fruition now. She's at Birmingham, but Neve Heron in England can't be far away. But she's been unbelievable this season. Yeah, like really good defender. Bangs the goals in. Needs to get bigger shin pads, bless her. But apart from that, she's such a good footballer. But the fact that she's now starting to score goals from like defence and stuff. But even when you watch the games back, just her positional awareness is unbelievable. She's really like matured into a top quality centre back.
Yeah, really impressed again with Tegan McGowan as well. She's had a great season. She's another one of these players who's like Lexi Lloyd-Smith we were talking about earlier, who's just going to light up games, and she's got the ability to win games by herself and to drag Birmingham through games. And yeah, she's been one of the highlights so far for Birmingham. But yeah, big win this was.
Yeah, massive. And again, we'll just put it there. As Danny rightly said, 3 points clear at the top. However, all the teams behind them, in fact, the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next 7 teams have all got a game in hand.
And Birmingham miss out this weekend. So that will cause them anyway. No matter what. There could be like, a different side. It could be 3 different teams at the top next year. Next week. And London and Durham play each other. So it's just, what a weekend of football that's going to be.
It's going to be so good. And that's the thing, isn't it? You can literally get points from anywhere. Goals can come from anywhere. It's just so bloody exciting.
It's so competitive, isn't it? It's so good.
It'll just need a run from somebody, because no one's went on that run yet where they've won, say, 4 or 5 on the spin. I'll touch wood at the minute where we've got 3, but we started badly. But now if we win on Saturday, we're 3 points behind Birmingham. Sunday, sorry, we 3 points off Birmingham, who stuffed us 5-0 in the first game of the season. It's mad. Absolutely mad.
Yeah, because normally you lose 5-0 and you're like, oh, well, that team's, they're not up to much this season. But actually, give it a couple of games, completely different, completely new. Chris has just updated us there. Half time 2-1 to Chelsea in that Celtic game there. Hey, Tony's in the chat. Nice new topical tag I suggested on Twitter. Yes, we were talking about that. So if anyone does have a topical tag they want us to use, you can tag Paul, tag the podcast, tag me. I don't mind, and we can make sure we get that sorted. But yeah, we love a topical tag, as we mentioned earlier. Paul, we're going to come to you for this next one. Pompey got their first point.
Yeah,
isn't that exciting?
It's exciting because this was a full-on not lose game for them. I remember we said last week that if Sheffield United won this, effectively Portsmouth were doing a Bristol City in the WSL last year, and they were down because they would have been 6 points back from anybody else in the league with a horrific goal difference. And now you look at them, and they went behind, and it was Maria Farrugia, who obviously will be familiar to fans of Sunderland and indeed Sheffield United, as a player, because and Durham. She's played practically everywhere in the northeast.
Everywhere, wasn't she? Yeah.
Lewis as well.
Lewis, yes.
Yes, Nancy, I remembered Lewis. Thank you for reminding me. She's looking at me with big eyes and up the back. Oh, here she comes. You'll see her.
I was going to say, has Nancy got like a little laptop next to you going, and Lewis.
And Lewis, yeah. She's like the guy who's on Taskmaster, Andy Zaltzman, who's also does the cricket stats for Test Match Special. Nancy's that version. And she's not sat in the way. Look, you can sit on my lap, okay? There you go.
No, I'm going to meow into the microphone.
I'm just going to look at everybody. There you go. Yes, that's Freya and Danny and Ant. That's the people who I talk to every week. There you go. Yeah.
Nancy loves the championship.
She does love the championship. She is #championship cat. There you go.
Championship.
Yeah. That's her opinions on the thing. There's those videos. I'll need to see if I can get her to start batting. I'll just have her do the predictions. I'll do a TikTok.
See how many meows she does. That'll be spot on, won't it?
That's it. Yeah. Like, just see which one she meows for. Like, Oh, Man United crap, Nancy.
No.
No means yes.
No. Yes. Come up with a defence for Mark Skinner in the next 5 seconds. There you go. You see?
There we go.
But yes, Portsmouth getting a point, and it really was a point in adversity because they've lost their longest-serving player, their captain, to an ACL injury, their goalie, and a couple of others as well, and at home, and they just gutted the point out. And what was really interesting was watching Ash Thompson, who's the Sheffield United manager now, And we'll talk about Sheffield United managers in the latest news a little bit later on. But
We shall.
we'll talk about Ash Thompson. His reaction was like it was a loss, like genuinely. You know how you see most managers, and it doesn't matter where they are. They get a point away from home, and most managers will go, we've come away with a point. You win your home games, you draw your away games. You're going to do pretty well in most leagues. His whole thing was, I think his first quote was something along the lines of, so Ash, what did you think of that game? Oh, well, there was great bits and there was really, really bad bits as well, and it feels like a loss. And he's sat there going, steady on, mate. It's Remembrance Day weekend. It's barely a third of the way through the season.
Yeah.
But he clearly has realised that Portsmouth, that his team are going to be in that kind of fight, because more and more Sheffield United look. I think the in the broadsheet paper adjective would be embattled. He just kind of looks that they're sat there like, yeah, we're going to have to just grind out results this season and finish one above relegation.
Mm.
And the way you watch the highlights, the way the Portsmouth players celebrate, it is like they've got their first win. It's huge psychologically for them, because
Massive.
bless them, they've been absolutely battered the first few weeks of the season.
Yeah, and we thought at one point, are they going to get a point? Are they going to score? Are they, what's going to ultimately happen?
And it'll go one of two ways, and I've experienced it both ways with the same team. Ironically, the now sadly departed Coventry, because in the famous Great Escape season, they didn't get a point until I think it was November. They lost their first 3 home games.
Mm.
Didn't get a bunch of points, and you almost felt that first point in the road back against Charlton when they gone 1-0 down and then pulled it back. You felt the kind of sea change then, and I think that'll be the same for Portsmouth. I think now they'll look at it and go, okay, that's the first point is always the hardest. So
Yeah, because Matthew's saying there, can they use it to build? And then
Blackburn away on the weekend as well, aren't they?
Yeah, which is a very winnable.
Yeah.
Definitely,
they've lost
the
last 6. Is it the last 6 Blackburn have lost? So it's definitely winnable.
And that suddenly, I'm just shutting my eyes. That takes them up. Assuming results go their way, that takes them up 3 or 4 places. Well, certainly 3 places, because we talked about that group at the bottom.
Yeah, let's have a look. Oh.
Is that the mini table at the bottom?
Okay. Yeah. So if they do, that will leapfrog them above Blackburn. Yeah.
Yeah, they're out of the relegation zone. Sheffield United will still be above them on goal difference.
Well, we might beat Sheffield 18-0, Paul. You never know. We won't. But
I mean, if karma was a thing, but most teams would beat Sheffield United 18-0. But
so never say never in the Championship. Come on.
But
that -22 is concerning, isn't it, as well, though?
that's going to be the factor, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think, as Paul's what's saying, is that them 3 sides are basically going to be beat each other, aren't they? That's their big cup finals, and if it comes down to goals difference, Pompey getting hammered at the start of the season, you can't see Sheffield and Blackburn conceding as many goals against the big sides. I might be wrong, but I just can't see it happening.
I mean, you can see that there's 3 teams there, so there's effectively 6 games. There's a 6-game mini league going on there where they all play each other. If I've worked that out right, and I genuinely think 10, 11 points may well be enough to stay up this season in the Championship.
Wow.
And because I can't see any of those teams going on a run, and unless Sheffield United find a rhythm, or Maria Farrugia really goes on a scoring run, then I can't see Sheffield United really pulling that back. I can't see any of those teams making up that 8-9 point gap now on any of the teams above them. So you've effectively got the two leagues, and unless what will be really interesting is what Portsmouth do in January, because they need reinforcements, and I think they would know that, and they made a big thing in the summer of going professional and investing in their women's team to try and stay up. And although they're by no means a rich football club, they're backed. Portsmouth have a decent amount of money, I believe. The owners down in Portsmouth have a decent bit of financial muscle behind them, particularly for the level they're playing at, and they need to back their women's team, because particularly with the way TV deals and stuff like that are going, this is a big pivotal season for those teams down the bottom. The team that stays in the Championship is going to have a huge boost, and the team that drops out of the Championship may not get back up, and it's that brutal. And there's no such thing as parachute payments either. So,
yeah, that's mad. It's going to be. The transfer window is going to be an interesting one, because that'll be the time where clubs are going to really push for, right, how invested are you in this? Is it something that you really do want to strive for the future? Or is it okay, we'll try it. We're not there yet. Let's have another season at, Southern Premier and et cetera, et cetera. All eyes on Portsmouth for that one. But I am really glad they've got their first point, though. And talking about points, and Sunderland have got another 3. Well, hey, 2-1 to Blackburn. As we mentioned, another loss for Blackburn there, but was a bit of squeaky bum time for a little bit, wasn't it?
It was for quite a little bit of the game. I mean, Blackburn bought very little, apart from time wasting and really getting stuck into our players. I mean, the first couple of minutes, Grace, he literally gets punched in the back of the head. Referee sees nothing, which pretty much summed up her performance, to be honest. She wasn't good. And I'm sorry to say that, but I thought
that to say about referees tonight, don't worry.
To be honest, I thought all of the refereeing team struggled. Thought both assistant officials struggled on each side. We got a goal chalked off for offside. I didn't think was. Blackburn got their goal, which I thought had a hint of offside in it. I'm not sure. It kind of doesn't really excuse our terrible defending for it, but there wasn't much quality in the game. All the quality came from us. And it was one of them ones that you have to grind out, and I mentioned before about, the Southampton and Newcastle game. We had to probably grind that out on Sunday, because it's give us a huge platform now. Because we've got, we play the other two sides, who were in that bottom 3 that we mentioned before. We play them in the next 2 weeks. So we've got Sheffield on Sunday and then Portsmouth the week after. So, touch wood, if that could make 5 out of 5, we're slap bang, in that title race. As I mentioned before, 5-0 first game of the season and 3-0 the week after, you're thinking we're never going to be in this, especially watching the Newcastle game, thinking, this might be a season to write off. But the fact that they've come back well, but it's coincided probably with, our better players now playing well, the likes of Katie Kitchen, who got the first goal. Yes. I think it's an absolute stonewall penalty on Mary McAteer, but Kitch picks it up and puts it in the back of the net anyway, so it didn't really matter. That was a good goal. Like I said, Blackburn scoring just before half time. It was just terrible by us defensively wise. But I think we stopped for the offside. We've let their defender get in, let their defender score. They go in half time, didn't deserve it, and then Blackburn did what Blackburn did last year, where they tried to time waste from the very first kick of the second half. They really got under our skin. It happened last year and we got beat 1-0, which shows a little bit more of like how well adapted some of these players are now this year. But we were marshalled at the back very well by Amy Goddard and a young 17-year-old making a debut called Ella West, who I thought was outstanding. Considering that's her first league game, unbelievable. And what a talent she's going to be. But Tash Fenton on Sunday, that was her best game for us by a mile as well. She was unreal. Just breaking everything up, playing them past that. We know what she can do. And the fact it was against a former club, I think, paid dividends for her. And then we bring on, I think Jenna D had to go off injured. She hurt her shoulder. We bring on another young lass called Libby McInnes, who we call Peggy. And our social media during the week, they did, what's your biggest ick in football? And Tash Fenton said about Peggy that Peggy does the snot rocket. So we all call her snot rocket now. But she gets the ball like around about 25 yards out and plays the most delightful through ball in for Eleanor Dale, who, smashes it in. And, Eleanor's got 5 goals in 3 games now, I think, or 4 goals in 3 games. 4 and 3. And she's on fire now. She's starting to score. And I said, when she starts scoring, we'll start winning. And it's happening now. She's got that first one against Durham. And now she looks a completely different player. Her confidence is sky high. Like I say, we've got Sheffield on Sunday. I totally, back at the score again against them. And it just, everything seems happy. Considering 5 weeks ago, we were all doom and gloom when we got beat off Newcastle. What a difference 3 weeks makes, you know what I mean? 3 wins against Durham, against Bristol, 2 good sides, and then against Blackburn on Sunday, who I don't think are a very good side at all. But what they do well. They get a lot off the referee. They ask for a lot off the referee, so hence the referee, who aren't strong enough, tend to give them. And the battle hard. Are they dirty? Probably. But are they malicious? Probably not, if you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, try and get what they can. Yeah. Clearly.
Similar to Durham, but Durham are a little bit more clever with it, whereas Blackburn aren't as clever, but it still works for them. But it could end up being a massive 3 points that. So fair play to Sunderland. We've got a lot of injuries at the minute as well, a lot of players out, and the fact that we're still winning these games and we've got these players to come back will make us a lot stronger in the Christmas time, January and stuff. So yeah, well done. Well done.
Well done, lasses. Keep it going.
Yeah, well done, lasses.
And of course, Dr. Grace McCarthy is coming back.
She's back, yeah. I mean, not expected at all. I've got to be honest. But what I don't know if you have seen like the reaction of the players when she walks into that changing room, and everyone's going mental about it. It's proper like, and I mean, I love Grace McCarthy. I speak to her quite a lot after the games because she's just such a one of the most friendliest people you could ever meet. And considering she's been there, she's done it all. She's Champions League footballer, and she just has time for everybody. And yeah, I really do like Grace a lot. To see her come back, it's only till the end of the season. I think it's to help out because obviously our captain Brianna Westrup's got a broken leg, so she's out injured. And Jessie Stapleton, who we've got off West Ham, has been unreal since she's went to centre half. She was suspended, and then Grace unfortunately had a prior arrangement, as in she was due to go on holiday this week, had to miss the game on Sunday, which gave LOS a chance. But LOS really took her chance on Sunday gone, and she probably won't play on this Sunday because Jessie's back. But to have that backup of Grace to come in or LOS who played that well. Just it bodes really well for the future for this football club. So I'm chuffed to bits, and chuffed for Grace as well. You could tell she was just so happy to be back as well. So it's class. It's one of them stories. So if she scores the winning goal to get us promoted, then that'll all be worth it, won't it?
It will. It's like it's been prearranged, like in the stars or something.
Yeah, stick her up for the last game of the season.
Absolutely. Because even for having that person like her back just in the dressing room as well, just to have that mentality, have that support, have that personality is just gonna make the difference, isn't it? Especially for those younger players, because I've got quite a young squad overall.
And the fact that a lot have been out injured, and we haven't seen Louise Griffiths this season. We haven't seen, apart from the first 6 minutes against Birmingham, we haven't seen Brie Westrow. Jess Brown's out injured now. Our reserve goalkeeper Megan Borthwick's out injured. We obviously lost Kira Ramshaw last year. We've got a lot of injuries. I think the treatment table's a little bit busy, and to have someone like that, and the fact I think since she's been back, we've won 2 games. She hasn't played obviously, but just to give the team, I think that lift that a really popular players back, I think it's a really clever move by Mel and whoever brought her back in. I think it just to give the players themselves that boost and that lift, we've got a back who's going to give us, a little bit more extra at the back as well. But the fact her personality off the pitch is going to, make it so good as well. So I think it's a really astute little bit of business, to be honest.
Yeah, we've done well, and again to get the fans engaged as well, and get hype that she's back. So yeah, we can't wait. Now, before we do predictions, I have to say Emma's autocorrect is on fire this evening. I don't know if you've been keeping up with the chat. Triple sub for Chelsea, bronze, Brighton, and Laird. I love Laird. She's in my fancy team. I did read it as Lanyard as well.
I did as well. When it first came up, I thought Lanyard's come on. Yeah.
Now, Emma, you put, I hate my autocorrect. We love your autocorrect. It's phenomenal.
It's incredible that I hate my autocorrect is the one sentence that's correct as well.
But also, 3-0 Roma. Leon, you mean, Emma? Yep, misread my phone. Because, told us earlier, 2-0 Roma with Melchi. Apparently, because we're using nicknames now.
Melchi and Liz.
Melchi and Liz, yeah. What a duo, Melchi and Liz. For anyone who doesn't know, Demone. Demone scored twice for Leon, and Vanessa Gilles has just scored the third for Leon as well, away to Roma. So yes, but that was Ritin Kanarids has come on, not Laird for that. Still 2-1 to Chelsea at the moment. We can guarantee that's going to change very, very shortly.
Is it really bad, by the way, that I call Melchi Dumornay fishy in my head?
A little bit, yeah. Do you want to explain why?
Yeah, because of her surname.
Dumornay.
Cod Mornay. There you go. So it just Cod Dumornay. It's a fish dish.
You took us wrong. People
I love the way
as the tumbleweeds fly by.
Posh thing we have in the Midlands. You might not have it on.
I was gonna, we won't have it up here. We've got cod and chips. That's it. You know what I mean?
I'm in the Midlands. I have no idea.
It's one of those.
Danny's from Northampton, though, and Danny has no idea.
It's one of those things that might have been posh in like the 70s. Like fondue. It's one of those things that dinner parties had in the 70s that everyone thought was really, really posh. Tumbleweed everywhere. Well, Graham would know.
This thing goes to the Valley every week, is
it? That's the atmosphere at the Valley, isn't it?
Yeah.
Valley of Death, because there's nobody there.
Death Valley.
Graham, sorry. I don't even have a child.
Graham.
Do you know what it is? Graham's jokes are actually quite funny. I like Graham's jokes. I'm all here for Graham's jokes.
I love that you're like, actually, they're quite good.
Yeah, like on a Thursday, where I'm on loan from at the moment, but on Thursday, when you see me kind of smirking when he got it's either that or I'm having a stroke, but it is actually me laughing.
It's just because he's been talking, he's been getting all the praise last week. We just need to, keep
keep his head level. I get that.
Or else we'll never get him out the door. No,
he's a good guy, Graham. No, he's one of my favourites in the channel.
He's all right, isn't he? We'll keep you, Graham.
To be fair, and to be fair, Graham, because we've just said you're all right there. From the north, being called all right means you're a proper good geezer. All right is a really good word up here.
He's all right. A bit of Ari, right? Let's have a look then. So I know we've briefly said which fixtures that we are looking forward to this weekend, but Danny, is there any particular ones there that are going to stand out for you this weekend?
I'm going to go Charlton, Bristol City, actually, just to get Graham back on board. Obviously, with Charlton coming in quite fresh, Bristol City off the back of that win this week. Both teams that will know that if they win, they're going to close the gap on Birmingham. Again, like Ant was saying earlier, it's so tight that any win in the middle of that pack and you're shooting right up there. So I think that's a really interesting game as well. I think two teams with fairly similar styles as well going at it. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, very good. And apart from Sunderland, any others there that are going to be interesting?
Well, I do kind of, as much as I'm over the moon at Sunderland on YouTube on Sunday, but I'm going anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I wasn't. As much as I'm over the moon, the kind of picking of that fixture, for me, that's probably the worst out of the five. It's like a team at the bottom against a team 8th. I know it's 8th in, if we win that one, we go up to as high as 4th. But, You've got like a top of the table clash between Durham and London. You've got, Blackburn versus Portsmouth down the bottom, which is, one of them, a relegation 6-pointer, isn't it? Charlton against Bristol, two of the best sides in the league. Newcastle, who are more than likely going to break the attendance record this weekend against Southampton, who, if they win, they go back right up to the top there. And then we're on. I just think it's a bit, as much as I think it's great, and I'm glad that we're back on YouTube and stuff. I think that's not the best of games, but I must admit that Durham and London one, if I wasn't going to Bramall Lane on Sunday, I'd have gone down to Newcastle and watched that one. Because I think that's going to be a really good game.
We're really good on it, absolutely. Yeah, it makes you think like who chooses these TV picks, because even for the WSL, they'll choose like the Chelsea games because they're Chelsea. But then when we said the Chelsea-Brighton game, which would have been a really good one, that then wasn't on, and you were like, well, pick the ones that are going to like attract the viewers and like the interesting ones that are going to bring people in. Yeah. But yeah, no, we'll keep it. We like a stream. Paul, how about for you? Which matches?
I like Durham London City because I think Sophia Jacobson's going to be kicked into the North Sea. like her and Aslani are going to be like coming from playing for players who've played at the very highest level to be playing on a field in the northeast in the shadow of a hill, which is basically what Maiden Castle is.
And not even a real field.
And not even
no, it's a horrible 4G. I've played on that pitch. It's a million.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with that, because if Durham have got any sense, I am very much against cynical football in the sense of, targeting players and whatever else. But if Durham have got any sense, this is your classic thing where in the first minute you want Molly Lambert or Lauren Briggs, someone like that, to just go through Aslani or Jacobson and just put them in the stand, like properly.
Welcome to the Northeast.
Proper 70s football, like just absolutely. Rachel. This is the kind of thing where you need a Rachel Williams shove. Like,
there's no dips at Maiden Castle though.
No, so it's safe. You can
There's
get
an athletics trap though that can land on the athletics trap. That's before the stands.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's just like. But I think that I genuinely think that's the key to beating London City, because they are the aristocrats, if you like. They've spent all the money. They've come in with, and Newcastle have got a bunch of experienced Championship campaigners on their team, and have recruited pretty well. And the players, the local players, have come up through, the lower leagues, so they're used to a little bit of studs up tackling, but. I get the feeling, it's a classic question, is it? Can London City do it on a wet and windy November Sunday in the northeast?
I quite like the fact that is all the games this weekend in the WSL and Championship are at the main stadiums, aren't they, of the teams?
Yeah.
I just love the fact London City will be sat there going, right, where are we going?
You're going to Durham University Sports Ground.
You go to an athletics track with a football pitch in the middle of it.
It has got an amazing commentary position, by the way, Maiden Castle. It's just the booth. Like, literally, it is just... you just go there, and it's like one of those school folding chairs on a roof with a table. Which, as you can imagine, in a northeast January is great fun.
Just sliding off in the ice, just like...
Do you know what? Last season, I promised myself I would never go back to that stadium, and I went back this year. I just hate it. There's never a good view. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get a good view anywhere, even if you sat in them seats, because the seats are not uncomfortable. It's still a very, very bad view. It's just not a good stadium. Like Charlotte and Ollie are on the How Pod. They didn't buy a ticket this year, and there's a hill behind one of the stands, like the east side of the pitch where you see like where the commentary comes from. They just stood on the hill, and they would have got a better view. I would have done that, but I had my nephew with us, and he wanted to get some photos after the game. So, but it's I mean, apparently the commentary spot now is the opposite side.
Well, so John in the chat. Good evening to John. No longer on the roof. Yeah, John, tell us all about it. Where is it? So hey. There we go. Yeah, because we're talking about the one at, was it the one at Goodison, Paul, we were talking about?
Yes, because we need to say well done to Chloe, by the way.
We do.
Everton Chloe, not Chelsea Chloe, who is in absolute bits at the moment because she gets to be in the press box for the Merseyside derby.
She does. She's
for her and
absolutely about it, yeah.
So expect lots of retweets of pictures of her, but the commentary position at Goodison is incredible. Like for the radio and stuff, you have to go around the back of the Bullens Road stand, which is the 3-tier stand at Goodison, for anyone who's seen the pictures. Up into the stand, through a door, up through some St Andrews-esque narrow stairs, but then out the back, onto a balcony, up a ladder onto the roof, over the roof, and back down a ladder into this like cherry picker type thing hanging off the roof. So
it's mad, isn't it? Try to get up there. And Johnson there will be doing comms from Newcastle as usual. Well, hey, John,
are you the Durham Hospital Radio commentator by any chance?
I knew I recognised his name.
I think that's the guy. He's such a good commentator. If it is him, he's a brilliant commentator, by the way. So if you can't watch the Durham game and you want to listen to the top of the league clash, Durham Hospital Radio. There's a plug.
Yes, he is. He is
there
indeed.
We go. Yeah,
welcome, John.
I've got to be honest. All like rivalries aside, he is an excellent commentator. So there we are.
Fantastic. There we go. But yeah, John, you're welcome anytime, mate. And hopefully we'll see you at Newcastle at some point. That'd be great. Now, and was there a dog?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, there's actually two, but this one wants to be.
Oh, wow.
So who's this?
There's this Honey, and she was 9 last week. Bless her. So, well, my other half is not in the house at the moment, so they both want to be in. So this one was crying before, and I didn't want it to sound too bad. So there we are.
She's overjoyed. Look, she's just
like, hello. And she supports Sunderland, and her favourite player is Grace Eade. There you go.
Well, there we go. Perfect. You'll have to get her a little doggy strip
with Eade on the back. I'm going there. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Sunderland, I didn't break in because obviously you guys are studying, but are we now replacing Thunder Bastard with Snot Rocket?
Yeah.
Or is that just specifically a Sunderland thing?
Could you imagine? Oh, that's such a snot rocket, and be like, sorry,
John, you've got to get that into commentary. If someone cracks in a 30-yarder, if not, I'm doing that. Just snot rocket.
If Libby McInnes does score from any angle, it's a snot rocket. You know, she'll be playing. I'd imagine she'll come on Sunday, but then we've got Durham next week in the crappy cup, the League Cup, and she'll start that. So, you know, if she scores, then I will say it's a snot rocket. I'll put it on our pod. Just say that's a snot rocket if she scores.
It's not ER, Graham saying.
Yeah.
See what I love from hockey. I played hockey at the weekend, and someone described a strike that I hit the post with as a piss missile, and I'm like, and that in hockey is an absolute rocket of a shot, and I'm like, I wish I could use that on commentary because it's so fun to say. Like,
well, you'll get investigated now. Hey, there's too many eyes on commentary and too many ears. Got to say the right things at all times.
So these are our levels now. So we have Thunder Bastard, which is top one. We got Snot Rocket, Piss Missile, Strike, just 5 different levels.
Floaty Lob.
Yeah,
floaty lob. Yeah, floaty lob.
Can't forget the floaty lob. Oh, fantastic. Right, okay. Yeah, John, this is quite a sane bit of the show. So thank you very much. It does get more chaotic and it does get a bit silly at some points, but it's all in good fun. As Sean rightly says. Tune in tomorrow when it gets even worse. Yeah, when the Law League lot take over.
That's harsh, that is harsh.
Well, to be fair, me and Ant, you should have seen our chat over the weekend because obviously Sunderland played Coventry and just me after 45 minutes going, have I mentioned I fucking hate football? And then at the end of it, obviously with his Ant just goes, so do I.
Yeah.
I can believe that ended the way it did. But yeah, speaking of the crappy cup, I can't believe they don't have a sponsor yet.
Well,
It's
because nobody wants to sponsor it. It's a complete waste of time. Could they call that the complete waste of time cup? Or something, you know, like, it's just mad, isn't it?
The Sea-Watts Cup. Yeah.
The Sea-Watts Cup.
I can't stand it. We've got the quarterfinals last year. We were 8-0 and still got the quarterfinals. I know it's still a harsh subject for you, so best not say much. But
we can call it the WTP tour for what's the point? You know,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's just pointless all around. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, right, perfect. That wraps up our championship then and our predictions. So let's have a little look. We're going to go on to latest news, but Ant, if we want to bid you farewell, you're more than
thank you very much. I've
no worries.
enjoyed my hour, so I like you to talk about the league I don't really watch. So but, I will be back soon. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Whoever's in
as always.
Yeah, all the best, guys. Take care.
Bye. Now,
there we go.
I need to
go. Go. It's that awkward bit where we're all sat there.
I didn't read that as BSM.
Well, it is the 50 Shades of Grey Cup.
I was like, so meant to be a family show, Sean.
Just imagine if they bring on subs in that.
Hey.
Well, the team dominates. See, we're off and running.
There'll be some interesting ties going on there as well.
Meetings mean something very different.
I'm sorry. You're really
challenging.
Wow.
Challenging.
Emma, you okay?
Actually, if players change, it could be a sub or a switch. In the BDSM Cup, you see? Emily knows. Emily's in there. She knows. There's like two different conversations going on here. There's a conversation for people. There's like an if you know thing going on here, isn't there?
And everyone else going, what?
Everyone else going, what? And anyone who reads like smutty book talk knows exactly what's going on.
It's like, this is meant to be a serious award-nominated podcast. Oops. Sorry, but definitely not.
Ant was just holding it all together, clearly, wasn't he?
He was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's gone. It all descends now.
It just kicks off.
So again, thank you to everyone currently watching and listening. Please do like and subscribe. We really do appreciate
Sometimes we get tied up.
You're just going to keep...
I'm just going to keep up in the ring. You were the one who misread the BSM Cup. Like,
I didn't say what I misread it as, though.
I mean, but the assumption was...
Really, we'll just blame Sean. And that's it. Yeah, that's fine. Sean, you're taking the blame for that one, mate.
Right. There's all the jokes in the chat now. It's amazing. Like,
honestly, this chat disgraceful. The lot of you. I don't know where you get it from because clearly it's clean at us. Oh dear. Right.
That was brilliant.
What are we descending into?
Freya's teacher voice just came out.
It really was the teacher voice, wasn't it?
Class.
Nice, children.
Now, I'll say this to...
What do you mean your dad's hurt his hand? Get in here.
Every game ends in a tie. Sorry. We just... See now, Dan...
The quarter-final draw.
Right, okay. I'm going to...
This is just some of the ones...
You two talk amongst yourselves.
you can blame Kerry for some of these as well, because she was the one who came up with every game ends in a tie. So,
Yeah.
See,
awful.
Emily is revealing herself as knowing things as well.
She is rather, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just no. So football. Hey.
Yes.
That
definitely doesn't have any ties in it.
Not when you win them. Right.
Not when
okay.
you win them.
So the Champions League. Hey, back to some good stuff. So it was match day 3 of 6. Some games are currently happening now, as we've been keeping you updated with, but some were last night as well. So Wolfsburg earlier won 3-0 with Wedemeyer getting her first Champions League goal. After turning pro in 2013, I believe. So it's her first Champions League goal, despite, I think it was, I can't remember how many appearances, but a lot of appearances in the Champions League. So over the moon for her. Real Madrid beat FC Twente earlier very comfortably with a 7-0 victory at home. And of course, last night, all the drama was happening. So Arsenal travelled to Turin to record an incredibly important 4-0 win over Juventus. A lot of people thought, how Juve have started their season. Was it going to be easy? What was going to happen? But Arsenal, again, under Sleggers, are looking very creative and back to themselves, which has been a joy to watch, really. Barcelona, of course, welcomed St. Polten to the Johan Cruyff Stadium. And that was a 7-0 defeat as well. Lots of 7-0s going on. Man City, however, left it kind of late to win 2-0 over Hammarby. Can we just take a minute for their travelling support, by the way? Did we all see the videos of them?
Swedish ultras are mental.
It was insane. It was great.
That is what we want in women's football. You could have a debate about that. That's the kind of thing that if it happened over here, it would probably be condemned. Because basically it's exactly the same ultras as who travel for their men's games, I believe, or certainly, it's very young culture, and so they behave like ultras. And there were flares and heckling and presumably the odd swear word in Swedish and all sorts of stuff. And that's what fandom is and should be. And I just found it interesting that everyone was losing their minds going, what great support. But if you have that turn up at Meadow Park, if Chelsea fans start doing that, then we know a certain fan base would lose their minds. We saw the bits that your experience is sitting with Man City fans and reacting to Villa with their very, very tame, let's be honest.
The very tame, is this a library? Ooh, this is intimidating. Yeah, could you imagine if the Hammarby fans turned up? That's exactly what I was thinking. So unless it became, those fans were fantastic, and that's I'd love to be in that atmosphere. But I think it's a certain type of person, isn't it, who wants to be part of that. So hopefully, atmosphere does improve in the WSL across the board.
I think
have areas like atmosphere sections where you can choose to join in or not.
It's a culture thing, and I think it's in the English game, because look at the cop end at Liverpool for men's games. Imagine if you had a few thousand of them. And I know we have some of the Liverpool Supporters Club watch, and they're always pretty noisy, or they have been pretty noisy when they've seen at Printon Park, and they do all the men's team chants as well, for example, like LA, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just fascinates me that isn't translating over, and I do think a lot of that is the marketing. That is, we don't want men's football, so you might be driving away the negative aspects of men's football, which is obviously a good thing, and no one can really challenge that. But you're also getting in a situation where you're not going to get. Danny talking about Northampton with average home crowds of what, 6,000-ish? Mm-hmm. And 2,000 of them travel to Birmingham. And massed ranks. And people talk about Arsenal fans travelling away, but they've got 1-2 songs, and they don't have all the flags and everything. And it fascinates me that you have in women's football, it clearly can be done with Hammarby's ultras, because they've just said, yeah, we'll embrace how our team is supported, full stop, and not turn around and say, right, this is how support should be.
Yeah, like this is how we support the team and the club, not the men's versus the women's. And Matthews said there, really impressed by Hammarby, only losing 2-0 to City isn't a disgrace, and for a long time they were in the game. Yeah, absolutely they were. They really pushed City really, to find something, to find a way through their defence, to find how they were going to get those goals in. So yeah, Hammarby have really, really impressed, to be honest. We've got a card coming out. Yellow card for number 17 for Celtic. A hair's in the way, unfortunately. I don't know who that is. And has taken out. Who's she taken out? Let's have a look. Lucy Bronze passed to. Is that captain?
See that Chelsea team is not a full strength Chelsea team either.
No.
If you look at it, they've got a lot of their.
Thank you, Chris.
Morgan Cross
got the yellow.
Former Coventry United player. Good on her. Now playing in the Champions League. So clearly there was some quality about it. It was just,
Honestly, it's they're playing quite well from what I've seen. And only 2-1 to Chelsea is insane.
But that Chelsea team it has players like Oriane Jean-Francois playing and Julie Bartel, who.
Ooh, very nicely pronounced. Well done.
That's your francophone there. That's
why we have you on the pod.
But Julie Bartel and Oriane Jean-Francois and those sorts of players. See, I'm just showing off now. Yeah, that's the excuse to say their names again.
You're just saying it over and over again.
I'm saying it over and again because you see, we must pronounce the names properly.
We have to 1, 2, 3.
We need to have the Riz, no cap.
Well, Chelsea only brought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've only got 7 subs. One of them being Hannah Hampton.
Yeah,
so they haven't brought a full squad at all.
They just said. I saw a tweet that had said Myra Ramirez and a couple of other of their first team players just haven't travelled, not because they're particularly injured or anything. Just they need a bit of a rest.
And you know what? Fair play to her for imposing that. It was a 19 player team squad even that she brought. But yeah.
I've just been following the BBC commentary. Can I just shout out Amy Canavan, who's doing the reporting at Celtic Park for BBC Scotland? She says, I think she's trying to say it's a player is tired. She says Amy Gallagher is goosed. I've never heard that phrase before. That's amazing.
It means something. It means something a bit different down south, that doesn't it? It's like the old wedgie. Yeah, you goose someone, you give them a cheeky
wedgie.
A cheeky wedgie. But
yeah,
yes.
In the chat, everyone listening, what does goosed mean to you? Because there is a definite north-south divide. Because I don't know what I was thinking of, but I didn't think it was that either.
Also, Matthew, if you do go and see Basil, please pass the wishes of the pod on and tell him to watch. Because if Basil was watching, that would be amazing. Like fan royalty.
I don't know why. I just Google to be goosed.
Oh, you silly goose! See, that's just
was it on the same page as you were looking at a minute ago with the other stuff.
I definitely did not Google search that. It's come up to poke a person between the buttocks to startle.
It probably would.
Well, yeah, you would imagine so.
Yeah.
To poke a person between the buttocks.
To startle.
Are we back with the BSM Cup here? Right.
Apparently so.
Why would you be doing that?
Well,
what?
When two people love each other, no.
But if I'm thinking I'm going to go and startle that person, that's not the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, that's probably sexual assault, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? That's
just
definitely
yeah. Because it's a poke between the buttocks. I don't want to poke anyone there. That's no. You don't know where they've been.
Well, you have a fairly good idea of where it's been. It's like,
oh, ew, right. Oh God.
Are we giving Graham a red card for that one? Yeah.
No, and I need to give Urban Dictionary a red card. Oh God.
Oh, you've never gone and looked at Urban Dictionary for goose, have you?
It came up on one of the results. I've got a bit
see, that's a rookie error. That is Mark Skinner level planning. That's just
no. I need a drink.
You know what? I am now going to go and do that.
Oh
Don't
no,
do
that's not good.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't do it. Gross. I didn't click on it, but it came up.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
delete.
didn't mean that. I didn't know it meant that. I thought it was just as. Or I didn't think it meant. Yeah, no.
No.
Oh no! I made the mistake of going further down. Oh,
Oh no.
oh! It gets worse.
A great choice of words. Paul.
How can we get worse? In fact, no. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I'm already scarred.
Did you see the first definition that was just mildly crappy behaviour, which I always thought was
In
ghosting.
a certain situation, yes.
The one that I always thought was ghosting, but apparently isn't.
Oh no.
Oh no! You didn't see the one about. Oh, you saw the one about the dog. Oh right. Oh.
The dog.
Oh.
What is happening?
Ooh.
What's going on?
I have no idea.
Well,
yeah.
we've gone full 50 Shades of Grey. But anyway, why did we
Yeah,
try and find out what Goose did? Anyway.
Gross. Yeah, don't do it. So yeah, we are award nominated, everyone, for football. Not Urban Dictionary definitions. So
I love how we've now got people in the chat going full teacher like Matthew. Just can we please move on, people, before things get worse?
yes, we absolutely bloody can. Right. Okay, so moving on. So we're talking about Champions League, but the main talking point that came from last night was the referee in the Arsenal match. Have we seen clips of this?
No, no I haven't actually. What?
Interesting. So the ref was in the first half. It was comical how bad it was. It was comical. So yeah, if anyone else in the chat watched it last night, please give me your thoughts. But my friend of the pod, Adam, was there. He travelled out, and I asked him. So I was like, right, see if my as a viewer, was I a bit biased kind of looking at it? But he said, his exact quote, I've seen some bad refereeing performances in my time, but the first half was absolutely outrageous. Some of the stuff that was happening was absolutely comical. A few suspect offside calls I could understand, but assisting the defence not once but twice. Everyone in the stands was pretty confused and outraged by what they were watching. Then, of course, there was the effort. There was the moment Fox had an effort tipped over the bar. Everyone could see it, the players, the fans, etc. But the ref said goal kick, not a corner. He then said, I know there's problems with officiating in the women's game and the lack of funding and professionalism, and I guess this is the result. It was embarrassingly amateurish. So that's a pretty scathing one from someone who was there as well. But he said, luckily it had no impact on the game, and it was a pretty comfortable 4-0 victory. But you can imagine if that was 0-0, if it was 1-1, all of those decisions. She got in the way twice or three times from what I saw. Katie McCabe even pushed her out the way at one point to be like, what are you doing? Move.
See, the thing with that, interestingly, is the referee would then have been well within her rights to give Katie McCabe a yellow card.
Yeah, but didn't.
Mild manner to Katie McCabe. That's.
She's been quite good recently. Katie McCabe.
The thing that makes me wonder then is if a referee is obviously bad, as appears to have been the case here, but players then take the matters into their own hands like Kate McCabe does, and she got a yellow card, then what happens? Because she will turn around and say she's getting in the way. We've got to move her. But it's forced into people's heads in pretty much any sport. You don't touch the referee. There's times playing ice hockey, which is where I've had a referee get in the way or block something, and I've literally screamed at them, fucking move, and they've turned around and given me the look, and then you kind of go, you realise what you've done, and kind of go, oh, sorry,
sorry, yeah.
So, but It's not been a good week for referees with the Premier League. Has anyone? I know we're digressing a bit, but the Premier League thing with videos and stuff.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I just want to know why he said that on camera. Even if you thought it wasn't going to get out, you wouldn't put that on camera, would you?
I love the fact that there's a second video though, where he says that first video can't go anywhere. Like he knows what he's done, and
yeah, he knows full well, yeah. But just
the joke in the group chat is there's now Arsenal and Chelsea fans everywhere desperately searching for similar videos of Emily Heaslip.
Yeah, I did see that. But then I saw some City fans go, well, after that game, and we all know which game, she hasn't been back to the Joy Stadium. Whether that's on purpose or not is a different kettle of fish. But yeah, it's just bizarre. Like, we all know the standard of refereeing needs to improve. And again, this is the same week that Rebecca Welsh is getting inducted into the National Football Museum.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And it's just like, how can we have such like glowing examples at one end and then the complete reality of, the majority of refs, unfortunately. So yeah, it just shows how far we still need to go to get some parity, because ultimately a ref's meant to be in the best position on the pitch, aren't they? And if you're getting in the way of Katie McCabe, that is not the best position to be in on the pitch. Matthew just put there, the ref's giving out yellow cards like she's giving out battered Mars bars from the local chippy. Yeah.
Glasgow chippies sell alcohol. It's amazing. As well, Scottish chippies can sell cans of beer as well. So
brilliant. Yeah, how many yellows have we got now? Aggie Beaver Jones has got a yellow as well.
Actually, speaking of Where's Rosie, didn't she mention earlier on Mimi was having to talk her out of buying a last minute flight to Glasgow? So maybe she is.
Yeah. Maybe
she's there. Maybe she'll just appear in the chat. Like,
oh, Lucy Bronze is down. I repeat, Lucy Bronze is down. And it looks painful. That did look really painful. And we know Lucy doesn't go down easily.
Just as long as she can bend both her knees. Because,
I think she was holding her knee.
This is the trouble with women's football again. As soon as you said that, everyone in the chat goes, "Is it a knee?" Like, it's the instant thought in women's football. It's
she's standing. We're good. Right. So what happened? Replay. Ow. Yeah, it wasn't a knee. She went up to head of the ball. The Celtic player, she went to jump up against the player, but the player then ducked out the way, so she landed on her back and her neck and her shoulder. That was really painful. Now she just shouted at the ref because she was like, "You need to leave the pitch and come back on," and she's like, "No, I don't. Like, I've just stood up. Like, I'm fine." And she's still waiting to be called back on. There we go. She's back in now.
Speaking of things that need changing, we should probably mention there have been more revelations in the Maddie Cusack saga.
That was going to be my next segue. Yes, absolutely. So more details will come to light today, with more information about previous complaints and even NDAs that have been signed by players. So, Paul, can you kind of talk us through this for anyone that's missed it? And of course, why is it so important that we keep talking about it?
Well, the short version is Dan Taylor, who is a writer at The Athletic, who doesn't, I believe, normally cover women's football. He does more the kind of stories around social impact of football and, the issues around the game. But he has been very, very hot on the Maddie Cusack case all the way through and following Jonathan Morgan. And he was, I believe, the person who broke the story about Jonathan Morgan having previous player relationships, and which eventually led to him being dismissed by Sheffield United. He has done another article today, and the too long didn't read version of it is that Sheffield United were aware of concerns about Jonathan Morgan, both before they actually offered him the job And when he was manager, one of the other players on that Sheffield United team made a point of putting in. It's not clear whether it's an actual complaint herself against the manager or whether it's more of an advisory, but it's very much the way Jonathan Morgan is treating the team could have a negative impact on some players. And given the way that the article was phrased, it was something like one of the teammates of Maddie Cusack, who was believed to be a close friend of the midfielder or something. It was kind of like, yeah, someone basically said to Sheffield United, Maddie Cusack is struggling here, and it's because of the treatment of the manager. And before he was hired, the then director of women's football there, who is Zoe, I can't remember her surname. I'm going to have to look it up. If someone else might be able to check it, because I posted a link to the article. But basically, the director of women's football at Sheffield United at the time, who has since moved to a WSL club, and it really annoys me that I can't remember which one. I want to say Brighton.
Zoe Johnson, was it?
Yes, it was. There we go. That was the name. Thank you, Danny. Always there with the backup, as per usual. Yes, she has now moved away, but she expressed in an email during the hiring process, basically, Jonathan Morgan does not have a good reputation, and we need to consider this. So the upshot of Dan Taylor's article is basically that Sheffield United had all the red flags raised about Jonathan Morgan and elected to sign him anyway, and the inquiry that they ran in the club themselves conveniently failed to mention any of this. So, and this is why, like you say, you asked why we need to keep the pressure on. This is why, because this is now looking like a blatant cover-up by a second-tier professional women's football club, which has led to the death of a player.
Yeah,
indirectly.
I think if this can happen at Sheffield United, which is a fairly big club, it's not as if it's like in the obscurities of nowhere. Then, unfortunately, how many other people are in positions of power that shouldn't be? Because people are willing to cover these things up, and it's horrendous.
We've seen the issues at Leicester, and we should state the issues at Leicester with all the player relationships and everything with Willie Kirk. All of that was fully consensual, and there was not any suggestion of any criminal wrongdoing. It was just perhaps an abuse of power, but that's allowed to happen. We've seen questions over Jonas Eidevall and the way he treats players. We've seen rumbles about Bart Skinner. We've seen, these are high profile managers who are having people on the grapevine saying things about them, and you get the feeling women's football would just want to forget the Maddie Cusack case, except for the once a year where they can say, "Oh, how tragic it was." And this is why articles like this from Dan Taylor are so important, because it really keeps the pressure and the spotlight on, and means that the FA inquiry can't whitewash. Yeah,
and that the more they're digging into this, the more that they're recovering. And it's just like, how deep does this go? How many more things are they going to find when they keep going? So we will keep talking about it.
Yeah, the fact that they've never allowed the family to see the inquiry as well is massive red flags, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because
what
the first inquiry is like what they hide, and the fact they've done NDAs, that immediately says that there's something to hide, and it's.
I mean, in the article they say things like the company who they hired to investigate themselves spelt Maddie Cusack's name wrong.
Yeah,
and basic stuff like that. So
it's the whole thing is just abhorrent, isn't it? And you just think, how can people go about knowing that these decisions have been made and they've been agreed, and all of this has been allowed to go on? And I read the thing about NDAs, because obviously to us, I know they're quite commonplace in like America and businesses and things, but to me they're like in the films, like, oh, you sign an NDA, but apparently it was standard. nothing about an NDA is standard. It's very much private information, and you will not share it through whatever else. So
I mean, it's interesting that this has happened because, you know, in men's football, obviously as a Sky Blues fan, with Mark Robins being sacked and all that stuff, which is a completely different story. But there was a Coventry City fans forum that was broadcast on local BBC radio, and the owner basically came out swinging, and his first thing was revealing all manner of what you'd expect to be private internal conversations about how Mark Robins, the manager, asked to sack his assistant manager because they fell out, you know, and then refused to get in another assistant manager and all sorts of things, and kind of basically chucking this guy under the bus with the feeling, well, hold on, if he's been let go with a settlement agreement and there's an NDA in there, he can't respond to that. So I always think NDAs are used to control a narrative, and I think that's what Sheffield United are trying to do. And they've tried to do it here, and thank heavens we have people like Daniel Taylor who keep digging away and are willing to. And Catherine Batt as well for the Mail is another one who did a lot of good work on this.
Yeah.
Who are willing to keep digging away and give the family a voice almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it needs to keep happening. And it'll be interesting to see where we go now with this.
Yeah, where this is going to lead to next. Because at the end of the day, it should never have happened, and the people who have allowed it to happen should be brought to justice. And you know, hopefully it never ever happens again, because it's so horribly disgusting that it was allowed to get that far, with people knowing full well what was going on. I think that's the kicker, though, isn't it? Like, people knew, and no one put a stop to it.
I still think this is going to be like the NWSL scandal that came out with Paul Riley and a few others. Not the same thing. There's no suggestion that, you know, there's sexual abuse being rife in the WSL or anything like that. But in terms of the way women's football, this is that kind of scandal that when it eventually does come out, it's going to cause ripples and waves.
Yeah. That
will cause people to turn around as a sport and say no more. And fundamentally change. And we can only hope that's the case, and it will be reporters like Daniel and Catherine who've done that, and Maddie Cusack's family just refusing to accept what's gone on, and fair play to them. Yeah,
absolutely. Because they need answers, and they fully deserve to know exactly what went on, to what extent. So yeah, we will be following this, and as soon as we get any new details, we will keep you all updated, of course. Danny, are you okay? Do you need a drink?
All right, so I just had a bit of a coughing fit. I'm all right, I think.
I know it's the worst, isn't it, when you can't get rid of it. Now, just before we move on slightly, so Chelsea did win. It did end 2-1. I did leave it on some stats, but there we go. Chelsea stats for you: total attempts 26, on target 11.
Oh, okay. I could get sent off in the end.
Yes,
for
second yellow, for a very, very late tackle. It was a bit silly. I don't know why she did it. They had 5 extra minutes, and she did it in the 94th minute. So it was right at the end, but just went in incredibly late and took out the Celtic player. So yeah, I mean, she made an impact. But Sonia gave her a high five. So. It's all good. But yeah, as Tony said there, it was more of a train wreck than I thought. Yeah, absolutely. And people are going to say, it was the B team, but we still won. And that's the narrative, isn't it? Like, oh, well, it wasn't our best team, but we still managed the win. And I suppose that's the thing about Chelsea. They do, don't they? They always grind out a win. Get the points.
Well, Matt Beard said, didn't he, after, and we might mention it again, but Matt Beard said after the game, Chelsea could be first and second in the WSL. their A team would win the league and their B team could finish second.
Yeah, because their squad is so strong. I did read. Oh, what's Barca's new coach called? Remy Peru? I think I made that up. I think that's right. Yeah, him. He was asked about starters and subs and kind of who he thinks in his team, and he said there are no starters or substitutes. Everyone is ready to start each game. So again, just shows if you're lucky enough to have the squad, you can just.
Well, it does annoy me how you've got that change now, because now I think it's the NWSL who don't have subs. They have starters and they have game changers.
Yeah.
Literally on the team list.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
Isn't it finishes? Is it not finishes?
Finishes is more rugby, isn't it? It's like finishes is definitely more rugby because they have starters and finishers with the forwards. But obviously, rugby is a much more physical game. But I'm sure certainly last year San Diego had starters and game changers.
That's like when you're in like sports day at school, and it's like, oh, we're not doing runners up, we're doing second,
First.
Yeah, slowest winner, like instead of last. Like it doesn't. I will have to say though, Blue Pros put that was the worst performance ever by Chelsea women this season.
Ever this season, or
ever this season.
Yes.
Forever, your children and your children's children for 3 months.
But they still won, which they're good at. Now, going across the pond to Canada, the Canadian women's national team have confirmed head coach Bev Priestman, assistant coach Jasmine Mander, and analyst Joy Lombardi, who is still serving their 1-year FIFA bans, by the way, will not be returning to the setup. I think we all kind of guessed that. And the search for a brand new head coach for the women's team will commence shortly. They haven't been looking. This has been happening since the summer, and they haven't even started to look for her replacement yet, which is mad. The full report has not been released because apparently it was 400 pages, right? 400. They did release a 36-point summary, however, of the independent investigation, but it contained about 135 redactions. So there's a lot of information that they're not releasing, funnily enough. They did contact, his name escapes me now, the guy who was in charge before Bev Priestman, who's now in Toronto FC, I believe.
John Herman, wasn't it? Was it John Herman?
Yes.
Who is English as well.
Is he English?
He is.
He declined comment for a long time, funnily enough. But apparently the end of this report was essentially saying that the drones, the cheat and the lion, all that kind of thing, it's run deep. And it's in the federation and has been for many, many years, which again, we all kind of knew. But yeah, he's kind of come out finally with a statement because he had to. I think it was through Toronto FC. I don't think he's appeared in any of these independent cases where he has to stand up and say something. But yeah, he's finally come out and said, "Oh, it's an industry thing. You know, it wasn't me. It was part of the association." So fingers crossed that the Canadian team, because we know it wasn't the players, they said they didn't see any footage, that they're good people, they train hard, they're good players, which we know they are. So hopefully this is the start of a new Canada without any drone spying. So there we go.
Out of curiosity, does that FIFA ban stop club football?
Well, that's the thing. Bev for Arsenal? Anyone? There
you go. Medrome Park.
Yeah.
Park. Very nice.
If Bev's going to Arsenal, then that leaves a massive gaping hole that Canada can fill with Philip Neville.
You're determined to just get Philip Neville a job.
Phil Neville's agent.
Phil Neville's agent?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I just want the chaos of Phil Neville somewhere. He'd just crash the drone, though, wouldn't he, to be fair? The drone would crash somewhere in the sea if Phil Neville took over.
The drone would go to the wrong stadium.
Yeah.
He'd just be like, he'd just compile. If Arsenal were playing Chelsea, he'd just compile notes on like Spurs or something. Or Everton, because Everton also playing blue.
Or like the local under nines. Like, I thought they were a bit small. And
Rosie will be on the podcast every week going, we had some drones flying over the pitch last week.
Yeah, we looked up and heard a buzzing noise and we knew it was a drone. And it was this exact...
Phil, will you stop it? Honestly, Cobham is that way. Like...
Yeah. Start putting signs on the pitch. Phil, it's not us. Go away.
It's like those things, you know, Craven Cottage and Brentford's old ground, Griffin Park, and a few others used to have massive ads painted on the roof because they were on the flight path to Heathrow Airport. Just loads of paintings on the pitch. Cobham is this way, just across the parks of London.
Oh, that'd be phenomenal. Yeah. So, I mean, we are Team Chaos. So, hey, Phil Neville for the job.
Any job. I know is he Portland Timbers manager at the minute, isn't he? But I think that's coming to an end like the season, so it's free. Maybe that's what Arsenal are waiting for.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. They're just going to keep Rennie Slagers all season, and then over the summer, Arsenal will do really, really well, and then they'll sack Rennie Slagers for Phil Neville.
Yeah.
Just for maximum chaos.
Could you imagine? Oh yeah, maybe Jonas can go and do the Canadian job.
Oh, yes, yeah. That's a good fit, I think.
That's a good shout.
I feel like Jonas would enjoy a bit of Canada as well.
He would. There's a lot of blondes in the team as well. Fit right in. So yeah, with what he's been doing at Arsenal. So yeah. Hey, Jonas for the Canadian job. Why not? And I believe they are all our latest news things that I want to talk about. So shall we do some WSL?
Yes.
Shall we go on to it? Look at this. Now, we had some massive scorers. We had some draws. And we even had some games that were decided by a goal. Hey, beautiful. So we're going to start off with me. I'm going to kick us off. Arsenal 5, Brighton 0. And I've just got this in the background for anyone wondering. Just gonna.
There we go.
Should I just hold it next to us while I'm talking? I need all my hooks back. I need like a proper corner. But yeah, essentially, friend of the pod, Lena Hurtig, is getting minutes. She's getting back into it, and she got a goal as well. But I'll tell you all about that in a second. So this one we said, right, Arsenal, Brighton. Brighton have been doing incredibly well. Arsenal, not so much, but they're getting back into it. And it was going to be a real test to see whether Brighton could then hold themselves against, the stereotypical top contenders of the league. Now, Arsenal under Sleggers, as we've said the past couple of weeks, they seem to be playing more creatively. They seem to be enjoying their football again. It's a lot more fluid. And there were nearly 22,500 fans at the Emirates on Friday night, which was fantastic to see. Now, Beth Mead, again, found her scoring boots around the 15-minute mark. It was a lovely cut back inside, onto her left foot and into the bottom left corner. And from there, Arsenal just seemed to go, we've got this. Okay, we can do this now. This renewed confidence seemed to flow through them. Within the next 10 minutes, Little had crossed into the box, found Caitlin Ford, who found it. I don't know if we saw, it was like a little half jump and just like a little wee back into the back of the net. And it was fantastic. Just in that fake Arsenal fan. Yeah, that's me. Hey. No, I'm not a fake Arsenal fan. Remember, I'm a secret Arsenal fan. When everyone found me out being an Arsenal fan.
And you do it really, really well by wearing the shirt publicly.
I'm a Hurtig fan. Which is absolutely bloody fine. You can support whoever the hell you want. Right. So Caitlin Ford makes it 2-0. Leon Hudson-Mornham, not happy with just having an assist so far. She's got to get in on the action as well. And a couple of minutes later, so Arsenal really, really in their zone now, she had her own goal for her efforts. Lovely strike taken from the edge of the box. Not quite sure it was Thundy B worthy, but it was up there. And it was a lovely bit of quality nonetheless.
I thought it was quite floaty. I thought it was very floaty out because it kind of floated and curled.
You thought it was a floaty L?
A floaty curler.
Floaty curler, a new category.
A hybrid. Like a floaty curler.
Okay.
Caressed into the corner.
Caressed.
That's a lovely word.
There we go. A nice bit of alliteration there as well. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that made it 3. Ford nearly made it 4, but strike hit the post. Now, Brighton weren't completely out of it. They had a few nice passages of play, but just couldn't find a rhythm. Kiko Saike, I think, got the closest. She had two really good chances. Zinsberger, who was chosen to start, was called into action. First one, Zinsberger had to really be on her toes for, and the second one came off the crossbar, really, really unlucky not to go in. Now, under Sleggers was seeing a lot more rotation, which is fantastic. And she used 5 subs during the match at various points as well. Wasn't just waiting like a typical Jonas would for like 80, 85, 90 minutes to bring someone on. And as I said, friend of the pod, Lena Hurtig, came on. One of them, and of course, came on to score. Kate McCabe took a corner, and the Swede rose highest to flick it in. Now, some people said it was an own goal because it took a slight deflection off Simons, but it was credited to Lena Hurtig for that one. Now, in the 95th minute then, Blackstenius was brought down in the box. Russo stepped up for the penalty and converted to make it 5. But yeah, just such a newfound confidence about them. And Brighton, again, like I said, had a few good moments, but just couldn't do it. However, they do remain 1 point ahead of Arsenal. Okay, so despite everything, they're still in 3rd place just. Now, to put it into perspective with some stats, Arsenal had 18 shots, 8 on target, 6 were off target, compared to Brighton's 6 shots, 1 on, 1 off. That was it. That's all Brighton managed to do. And Arsenal, typically, we've said, there's lots of kind of action touches in the box, but they're not quite getting it in. 35 touches in the box compared to Brighton's 9. Okay. So overall, I think this is a really, really exciting time for Arsenal. So if they can keep it up, who knows where they can be, but there is still a massive gap if they want to compete for those top spots, because if we go up, so Arsenal on 12, Brighton on 13, but then we jump massively to Chelsea on 18 and City on 19. So they're doing better. I think this is a turning point now. Reinvigorated and just it's all going right then. So I've had my moment. Paul, I think coming on to you next. Man City 4, Spurs 0. And Bunny Shaw's hat-trick kind of saving everyone's fantasy teams this week, wasn't she? Talk that, please.
I had Bunny Shaw and Jill Ward, so I was very pleased indeed.
Oh. I had Bunny Shaw, Jill Ward, and Lauren Hemp.
You can feel the smugness running off the screen at this point, can't you?
It's got me off the bottom of the table, at least, for a bit, hopefully.
It's like, you could power a small town with Dallas smugness, don't they?
85 points this week. It's amazing. Enjoyed it.
See, this is the thing that always freaks me out on fantasy football, when you're sat there and it's like average 30, and then you look at the end and they'll go with the most points, where it's like 212 or something.
How have you done that?
Because they've triple captain Maya Letitia scoring a hat trick or something completely random, and also had the power ups for the defense when they've got 5 players getting a clean sheet or something. And you just sat there going, "Sorry, this isn't luck. This is just
Yeah.
There's going to be a fantasy football corruption scandal in the next few years." But yeah, Bunny Shaw, I believe I saw a stat somewhere. She's scored something like 12 goals against Spurs in the past 5 seasons or something. No, it must be more than that.
It was a lot. I remember them.
A few hat-tricks.
I didn't write it down.
It was definitely one of those things where you look at it and go, bloody hell, that's like, that's ridiculously one-sided. But there was definitely a stat along the lines of Bunny Shaw has scored more goals against Spurs in the past 3 seasons than half of the WSL as teams have scored against her or something.
That sounds about right, to be fair, yeah.
And as we know, she is inevitable. And she just, at this point, you've run out of superlatives for her. Yeah. Because it's almost like Gareth Taylor just knows what he is, a manager who knows what he has in Bunny Shaw, and unlike certain other managers who we will come on to later on, he knows how to use a number 9. And that Man City team has so many ways it can attack, but you can tell plan A is get the ball to Bunny Shaw in the penalty area and let Bunny Shaw do Bunny Shaw things. And it's built towards that. There's such a great understanding. Some of the passing, some of the feeds through when she makes runs. You just look at it and you go, this is a well-oiled machine. They're enjoyable to watch, Man City, because of the way that they play to their strengths.
Yeah, very much so.
They very much did that against Spurs. And Bobby Vills, we like him a lot on the podcast. Friend of the pod, obviously, Bobby.
War Bobby, yeah.
But nice. Isn't that the wrong side for you? That's the black and white side, isn't it, War Bobby?
Kind of.
Or is it just northeast now? Is it just northeast?
Yeah.
But yeah, and as Matthew says, and as folks say, it was a horrific error from Claire Hunt, which
that's bad.
It's the kind of thing where it's fodder for the football lads to just go defending in the women's game and whatever. So we won't dwell on it too much. But Bunny Shaw just terrifies people, and you can't really blame Claire Hunt. Claire Hunt is a very experienced international defender, and Bunny Shaw made her look like an under 9. It was just absolute centre forward dominance in the way she played.
Yeah.
What she's got behind her as well, isn't it? Well, Hempo's on absolute fire at the minute. So they got 3 assists, was it? The weekend. That Fagino's been a phenomenal addition as well on the other side. But Jill Ward's back in form. You didn't think she was going to come back to be half the player she was, maybe. She's completely back on fire, and Jess Park's in there. Hasegawa's just tidying everything up and letting everyone else do their thing. It's crazy.
It's a sewing machine of a team.
That's a great description. It's a sewing machine, yeah.
It just runs so well. And it's I'm probably going to annoy the Chelsea fans in the chat now, but it looks
you never.
Man City, when they're on form, are a better team than Chelsea, and they work better than Chelsea. They're more fluid. They're more instinctive in the way they play, in the way they link. But the trouble sometimes, yes, I know you agree, Nancy. Come on, but the trouble is sometimes Man City, perhaps in the past couple of seasons, haven't hit that level as consistently. Oh, I'm looking already. She's on a flight back. She's on a flight back from Glasgow already. There's a black computer coming through the window. It's like Black Helicopters podcast version. But no, Man City. And thank you, Tony. I like you because you suggested the topical tag and you're agreeing with me. So I like you. You can come back. But like you say, they are just an absolute sewing machine of a team, and they hit that at times against Spurs, and they were almost just irresistible and a pleasure to watch. And the only question is if they can hit that level 90% of the time, they'll be champions. They will overhaul Chelsea. The problem they've had the past few seasons is Chelsea have hit their top level 90% of the time, and Man City have hit that level 40 or 50% of the time, and rarely in the big games. But if they hit that level against Chelsea, that will be an incredible game. That will be appointment viewing, and that manifesting Man City going full sewing machine as Chelsea.
Full sewing machine, I love it.
As Chelsea go full juggernaut, so you've got the juggernaut versus the sewing machine. There you go. Really, really bad WWE match. Great.
I was going to say that's slightly better than the immovable object against the irresistible force, whatever it was.
So in the juggernaut.
I love how Nancy is confusing Sophie's cat as well. We're getting cat dating going on. It's she and he. Nancy's on the pull.
The power of the podcast bringing everyone together.
But yeah, Tony does make the point as well. Like same one I was doing. The trouble with City is that they don't hit sewing machine level all the time.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But when they do, they're terrifying, and we saw that at the weekend.
Yeah, and when we saw when Buddy Shaw was out injured as well, it was almost like what do we do now? We're built around her. But yeah, no, you're right. When it works, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Absolutely. And yeah, of course, sticking at the top of the table. Let's have a look. So yeah, on 19 points, Chelsea, of course, still have the game in hand. Remember, are on 18. With Chelsea again having that massive goal difference. And again, I don't know if anyone watched the Kickback, Rusha and Shaban's show, but had Kirsten Gasperay on. And she said, asked her about Gareth Taylor, and she was like, you know what? I've learned so much about football coming to City, and it's a completely different ball game. Being there with just how technical and how much she's learned and how much of a better player she's become. So yeah, it was kind of nice to hear from kind of that side of it as well, because obviously we can talk about what we see kind of on the pitch and from reports and stuff. But yeah, to hear that they all work so well together and have that shared common goal was quite good.
I do feel bad actually, because I've been a vocal critic of Gareth Taylor the past couple of seasons when he was perhaps underachieving. But I think he has clearly learned from the past few seasons, and now he's a lot quicker to getting Man City humming every single week. And if he can, then we've got super team level going. We've got a team that can rival and probably beat Barcelona.
It's that continuity as well, isn't it? They've had the same players pretty much clicking into gear for the last couple of seasons. It's not been changed that much. So they know how each other work. You can tell that they've kind of got that click going on. The click of the sewing machine is all going well. So that's a big help as well, I think.
I think like you say, they've been very selective with who they've added.
Clever additions,
and clever, like Laura Blinkilde, sorry Villa fans, but Laura Blinkilde Brown is a fantastic addition.
Hey.
Right, for Man City, it's a very unfortunate for Villa, but an absolutely fantastic addition, because she is in that midfield learning from Hasegawa and Laura Coombs and Jill Ward. She's going to be, it's like a finishing school for midfielders. The only way she could get any higher standard education is have Aitana Bonmati come along to City, which, let's face it, is possible. The amount of money.
Yeah, as we've seen, anything is possible. Yeah. No, I suppose it was a good move for her. Fine. But no, she's doing incredibly well. And again, you're proud of your players, aren't you? Like when they kind of move, your youngsters move on to different clubs and things like that. And yeah, she's doing incredibly well. And again, an opportunity that Villa couldn't offer her as well. So no, she's doing very well indeed. Just before we move on, to player, I thought you were a Villa fan. Yeah, so for people new to the pod who don't quite know where my allegiances lie, Born in the Northeast, I'm a Sunderland fan. Born a Sunderland fan. Spent about 8 years in Birmingham for uni and various other things. So I fell into supporting Villa. On top of that, I also support players, regardless of what club they're at. Hence, Lena Hurtig. Followed her when she was at Juventus, thought she was incredible, wanted her in the WSL, and then she appears at Arsenal. And there we go. I've also got a Piemonte shirt. I've got, who else have I got? My Leon shirt. I've got an Everton shirt. I've got all sorts because I'm supporting my players. Some people have a problem with it. Most people don't, but I don't care, to be honest. I support who I like. But another one, that's when you put that. Don't you find it weird that Hurtig got back and is even scoring now Jonas has gone? Well, that's the thing. We don't know why she was out for such a long time. There was a bit of mystery surrounding that one. But I think the fact that Jonas has gone, and it is a bit of fresh air, and Slegers has gone, okay, I want more rotation. I know what these players can do, and that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, no, absolutely perfect by me. That's just getting time on the ball. Now, I'm trying to take you off the screen, and I can't find it because, annoyingly, I unstarred it, and now it's gone.
I mean, while you look for it, I'm just going to agree with Matthew as well. Oh, you found it. I was going to say I was going to agree with Matthew because I would go further than Matthew.
This one,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because he says, as a Chelsea fan, if you had to pick one Man City player to take from them, I think if I had to pick one Man City player in a kind of draft, if you like, an American style draft, if I was picking first, it would be Bunny Shaw. But if I was picking probably anywhere else in this hypothetical draft, it would be Hasegawa. Because we know Bunny Shaw is probably going first.
Yeah.
But she's such an incredible player. You know, I could sit and talk for hours about her, just as a Rolls Royce of a player. I have a football crush on her. I think. Are we allowed to have football crushes?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Yui Hasegawa is definitely one of my football crushes because just the way she plays is
quality is insane. Yeah.
She holds that team together, and it would be interesting to see. I don't think Man City would suffer as much if she was injured because Laura Coombs could come in and do a job, and Laura Bryn-Kilda-Brown could come in and do a job. But if you put Yui Hasegawa is one of those players in the WSL, you could put her into any team in the WSL, and she would make that team better.
Yeah,
light years better.
100%. Yeah, she is incredible. She really is. Thank you very much for that one. So Spurs just didn't show up.
Spurs got rolled over. Basically, Spurs were game and they turned up, but they're not on the same level as Man City. When Man City are up, and that's no disgrace to Spurs because very few teams are.
Yeah, and again, it's showing that gap, isn't it, between to the tops and even to the middle and to the bottom as well. Absolutely. Right then, Liverpool 0, Chelsea 3. Danny, we're going to come to you for this one. Liverpool, it was quite a frustrating day for them, wasn't it? Because I think after they won against Villa, they had they've been confident, haven't they? They've been picking up points. They've been, been able to take them. But again, Chelsea were just too good on the day, weren't they? Talk us through this.
They were. Yeah, this is Sonia Bonpastor becoming the first manager to win their opening 4 away games in the WSL. Stat that. That's 6 and 6 for Chelsea, like we saw earlier. And it's harking back to last season, that 4-3 defeat up there. Would it have been at Tranmere, rather than St Helens? But that was quite pivotal in terms of an iconic moment of the season where Emma Hayes essentially went and conceded the title and then went on to win it. So that was just that mad game. So you think Chelsea have probably learned a lot of lessons from it. And I know she said after the game she hadn't even spoke about it with the players. she's spoken with the management team, but she hadn't mentioned it to the players at all. They've lost there for the last 2 seasons. They hadn't won there since about 2019, I don't think. So there's a lot of stuff going on where Chelsea just needed to go there and lay a marker down. And that's exactly what they did. I think Liverpool started well enough. They had a couple of chances for Olivia Smith and Leanne Kiernan were using their pace quite well to get in behind. So I thought, we might have a game on our hands here, because once they were getting in, they were creating quite good chances, but you've got to take them. You've got to, against Chelsea especially, you've got to, once you've got the chances, you've got to go and take them. Taylor Hines had one deflected wide, got a couple last week, almost scored again, but then you just got the feeling as soon as Chelsea scored, it was always going to be really tough for Liverpool. It's a controlled performance. Again, the juggernaut kicking into gear. Mayra Ramirez with the first. Got the ball came off the bar from Canarid, and then Wrighton with the second. And I think the second was really the killer. So bit of a mistake from Rachel Laws for that one, and she's pounced on it to make it 2-0. And after that, you just thought, as soon as they got the second, there's no chance Liverpool to get back into this, because Chelsea seem like they've somehow added something even more to what they had last season. They've they were blowing past teams last season quite easily, but they've seemed to have added a little bit of steel to their game as well this season, and defensive solidity. There's a lot of talk about set pieces before this game as well, whether Chelsea could cope after suffering a bit last season there. They've tightened up on that as well. And they're pretty much in control for most of the second half as well. Couple of chances for Liverpool, but then Aggie Beaver-Jones got the third in stoppage time. She used to like a stoppage time goal, don't she, Aggie? Or red card as it's tonight. But she seems to enjoy it when she's on the pitch. Yeah, that's already the 5th career goal for against Liverpool for her as well. So she likes playing against them. But then all gearing towards this weekend for Chelsea. Obviously, a good result in midweek as well. But all geared towards the Man City game at Stamford Bridge this weekend. It's going to be an absolutely huge game. 2 teams at the top of their game going head to head. This is it, like Paul said, it's appointment viewing. It's going to be a fantastic game, I think. It's one of them you think sometimes they build up these games and then they're not as good as they could be. I don't think this is going to be one of them. This has got ding dong written all over it, I think. They're both right at the top of their powers, aren't they? And it's going to be phenomenal. Liverpool's still not won at St Helens either. They've got to start winning in that new stadium. I don't think anyone would have really expected them to this weekend, but you'd like to think they'd get into it. They'd start winning there soon.
Definitely.
It's
wicked.
Yeah, because Sophie said there, do you think moving stadiums has hindered them a little bit?
Possibly.
At time.
Yeah, it could have done a little bit. You kind of get a feel for stadiums, don't you, sometimes? And maybe it's just getting the... Like I said, I don't think the Chelsea game's anything to judge it on, but it is kind of the more it builds up, the more it kind of becomes a bit psychological as well, isn't it? But no, I thought Liverpool did all right, but it's just like Man City and Spurs. It's so difficult to play against when they're in full gear.
Yeah, it's just that extra level, isn't it? That those teams have got. Because it's a bit like Villa at Villa Park. It's not happening. There's no wins, there's no points, there's no nothing. So yeah, it'll take time. But like you said, Chelsea are just.
You know what fascinates me about them? Somehow they look better under Bompasta than they do under Hayes.
Yeah, and I can't put my finger on what it is either. Like that, you're playing similar players and stuff, but there's something about them that's just a little bit more robotic even than they were last season. Like they felt a little bit like they could jump into chaos at any time last season, didn't they? But still come out like edge of game 3-2 or something. But yeah, it's difficult to kind of put the finger on it. But yeah,
it is almost, it's like you were saying this weekend. It's the irresistible force against the immovable object. If they both play at their top level, we are talking game of the decade. I genuinely don't think that it's. We're massively overselling it, but the potential there.
I don't think we are. No.
The potential there is game of the decade.
Yeah.
The kind of game that we will be talking about for years.
I really hope so.
It's going to be a 0-0 now. It's absolutely going to be a 0-0 with like 3 shots.
The tightest 0-0 you've ever seen.
Just everyone sat there watching it next week. Actually, I'm not on next week, so I'm lucky. But everyone listening this week, Paul with his game of the decade rubbish. 0-0 with 3 shots either side.
Yeah. All the football pages in the middle. No one can get out of that laugh.
I'm interested to see Hemp against Lucy Bronze if she plays as well. The form that Hemp's in, she could absolutely tear them apart.
Well, that's the thing. It's going to be all the people going, "Told you we shouldn't have signed her." Blah blah blah. And it's like, it's Lauren Hemp. It's not like your average player. Like, it's going to be star for star. We've got Sonia's slowly trying to shape Chelsea to move like Leon. Sean says to press and be intense for 90 minutes with a high line and almost every player attacking. Yeah, again, it's that evolution, isn't it? And again, just adding those high quality players that you can bring on for the last half an hour that they're going to make an instant impact. And that's the big difference between teams like Chelsea and City.
I mean, if you're going to follow a team like Leon, then 7 Champions Leagues or whatever it was.
Yeah.
No,
bad team to emulate. No, not at all. Yeah, absolutely. But we'll talk about the weekend. Right then, Danny, I think we're coming back to you for this one. Crystal Palace 1, Everton 1. Massive point for Everton, but should there have been a winner, do you think?
Possibly. I think both teams would have gone into this sort of targeting it for a win, wouldn't they? Both of them will want to take a point off someone who's right down there at the bottom with them. Hard fought draw overall. But lovely to see Palace scoring after 29 seconds as well. Always love a good early goal.
When my notification came up, I was like,
yeah.
Really? And then Bunny Shaw did it in the City game as well. And I was like, 1 minute, what? And
Everton had the ball as well during that period. It wasn't just like a hoof the ball up and get it. Everton sort of had control of it. And then Palace just nicked it. India Paige Riley with her first goal in the WSL again, which is good. Good to see her off the mark. I thought Palace played really well. Didn't have Annabelle Blanchard. She's suffered a knock in the week, apparently. But so I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't be able to sort of play their usual attacking game, but they did. But once they've got in front, you think they're going to be a little bit disappointed to not seal it. But Everton scored a goal by themselves, which is always good for them.
Yay!
612 minutes into the season, they finally get a goal that's not an own goal, which is good. Probably from their best player on the day, Hanako Hayashi as well, who's a great player. Nice little header as well. Good point along the way for Palace, I'd say, but one again, you'd think maybe they're looking at it thinking that's a big chance for us, because I think 13 points has been enough to stay up for the last couple of seasons, the last 5 seasons actually. So they're well on the way to that already. But you just think if they were on 7 instead of 5, that would have been huge for them. Everton, Merseyside derby coming up, followed by Spurs. That's a big run of fixtures for them. And I feel sorry for our Bry. We love him. Because he looks knackered, doesn't he? He just needs a big hug from someone. Maybe we can just go and give him a group hug. He just needs it because he's got a lot of injuries, a lot of things to cope with. Had difficult this season with Palace coming up and playing some good stuff and chipping away, picking up the points and not going not blowing teams away or anything, but they're just picking up these little points here and there that are going to serve them really well. And it means the likes of Everton are going to potentially start getting cast adrift at the bottom. But
because again, we've talked about the January transfer window, haven't we? But it's to do with if Everton sort themselves out, if they actually, if there's any money to be had, because very famously, Everton are playing with 50p in a Mars bar to try and get some players. Like it's hard. It's really, really hard, and you can see there's been a lot of discourse online, as always, with people saying, I felt quite offended, even though we don't know our Bri, but, friend of the podcast. Someone called him an oxygen thief for taking up that place. And I was like, you can't, he's literally doing everything he can with what he has. He's not some of the managers that we can say. But, to blame him for the team and and it's yes, he picks the team, but he has a very small pool to pick from. It's not as if he's leaving internationals on the bench. It's not as if he's, and I just thought
there's no baffling decision in there or anything, is there? You think you look at it, you think that's ridiculous? No.
The only one you could possibly argue is maybe Maloli getting a few more starts. But even then, it's not like a huge thing. She's come on, she makes an impact, it's not as if she's like not playing. So yeah, I think people kind of need to take a step back from it and go, hang on, this is a situation we're in. Yes, we want to be winning more, but ultimately, like they're stuck, aren't they, at the moment until the club sort themselves out.
I genuinely think Brian Sorensen is the type of manager who deserves a big job.
He deserves everything in the world.
Obviously, in the men's game, we see the situations where you get people who are successful at small clubs and then they go to big clubs, and for whatever reason they can't handle it. I think Brian Sorensen is the exact opposite of that. I think if Man United sacked Mark Skinner, they could do a lot worse than Brian Sorensen. And the sad thing is that if they did, his Man United fans would tear him to shreds because they'd only see the results. Because I think the women's game has the same problem, possibly even more so than the men's game, because you've got a lot of fans who are newer, perhaps. They literally just see the results. So they'll look at Everton and go, oh, Everton are shit. They'll look at, the work they go, oh, Everton have lost again, Everton are rubbish. And not see even the nuance of, well, Brian Sorensen has done this with, like you say, 50p in a Mars bar, and if he's lucky, he gets Skittles. Like,
yeah, you need to look at that big picture, don't you? Or else, if you look at results, it hasn't gone well for them. But at the end of the day, what more can Bill Bry do?
Don't send him to Man United. Come on, don't do that.
Job at Arsenal going. Reckon he'll.
Oh, imagine if Brian Sorensen went to Arsenal, I'd like Arsenal. Like, genuinely, that's the level I would.
In fact, we'd get an Arsenal shirt with Sorensen on the back.
like genuinely, because if he. But the sad thing is, I think he'd have the problem where he's perhaps not being considered for those jobs because, again, the short-term thinking and the short-sightedness of women's football, and the worry that if Brian Sorensen is named as Arsenal manager, you'll just get, I don't know, your 14-year-old Arsenal fan who is, Beth Mead fan 1 on Twitter or whatever. Or Russo's Mead or whatever. Honestly, all the names are just a combination of players. We'll be on there ranting about it, and then that'll get retweeted by 47 other people in private chats, and all of a sudden there's graffiti Sorensen out before he's even got into the team. And he deserves a chance like that. Brian Sorensen could be transformative for a club like Manchester United or Arsenal.
Yeah.
And
because imagine what he could do with the money and the support and the staff and the everything he doesn't currently have.
And Tony's there saying they buy a boatload of Danish players. I don't think they would. I think they have at Everton because Sorensen has worked with the market he's got. But if you give Brian Sorensen access to the level of scouting and funding and attractiveness, if you like, of a club like Manchester United or Arsenal, then he's going to go and sell his vision to, I don't know, Stina Blackstenius, or he's going to go and sell his vision to Jennifer Falk, who is a very, very good player who's been linked with the WSL in January and is going to Spurs. And I think it's just sad the way that he's being underutilized at Everton or effectively trying to stay in the WSL with one hand behind his back.
Yeah. No, it's hard. There's a lot of pressure on him, but yeah, the clubs could do a hell of a lot worse, couldn't they?
There you go, Sam. You can clip that bit up. 2 minutes to 2 minutes 15. Boy, Brian Sorensen deserves a big job. There we go. Singing his praises.
No, I love it. But he does. But yeah, good point for Palace, keeping them up there, but an even bigger point for Everton. Unfortunately, they are still at the bottom, but we'll have a look at that in a moment. Paul, we're going to come to you then. Penultimate game. West Ham 1, Leicester 0. West Ham really needed this one, didn't they? Again, to get them off the bottom. But was it a fair reflection, do you think? 1-0.
It was the kind of game you'd expect West Ham versus Leicester to be.
It was just a bit of a nick game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was one for the purists. It was very close, but the key thing that we'll highlight straight away from the stats is West Ham 9 shots, 6 on target, and Leicester 7 shots, only one of them troubled the goalie.
Oof.
And that right there is where the match was won, because everything else is fairly similar. Like possession is 52-48 in terms of number of passes. West Ham made 30 more passes over 90 minutes. Pass accuracy was level. Fouls were pretty close. Leicester had a bunch more corners, but apart from that, it's a really, really even game, and it was won by Viviana Say. Just a moment where, in injury time at the end of the first half, you can kind of see to some degree, perhaps Leicester some of their players are back in the dressing room, because this is something I always wonder about, these ridiculously late goals at half time, particularly in first half injury time. Perhaps not towards the end of the game, but particularly in first half injury time, where you get these goals at like 45 plus 7. Is that a concentration thing? Do we think
Possibly
in women's football, where mentally you're thinking, right, there's 20 seconds. There's 20 seconds here. If we just see this out, we just back off, and then the ball is suddenly in behind you. And Viviane Sey, who is a very good underrated striker, she's a French international. We very rarely talk about her because she plays for West Ham. Yeah. But she got, I think she got 9. Did she get 9 goals last season? She definitely was West Ham's joint top scorer along with Rico Wecki. Yeah. And she just pops up and gets those goals, and it was the difference in this game. And it could be a massive 3 points for West Ham come the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, the difference in finishing and quality in the penalty area. We saw it starkly illustrated, because if Leicester get a point there away from home, they're chuffed. Yeah. If they have a decent day shooting a goal, get a point there away from home, they're chuffed. Amandine Mikel comes away and says, yeah, it's not the best game we'll ever play, but we got a point. But they let themselves down in the attacking third, and we saw the result of it. And West Ham can come away far, far happier with that one. And I think, like you say, it's a huge win psychologically as well, because it's a win down at the bottom of the table against a rival, and a very even game in everything apart from the shots on target. So if I'm Leanne Skinner, I'm coming away from that going, listen, we executed that game. We did what we needed to do. We had tasks to explain. We executed tasks there. They went out, wasn't last Boy Scouts or anything. We went out there, did what we needed to do, did our jobs. Yeah. And we were rewarded for it. Let's keep doing that, and good things will happen and pull us slowly away from that quagmire down the bottom.
Yeah, that's a very, very hard place to be indeed. Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a quick look. So that win, West Ham now in 9th. So it's leapfrog them right up there. So Palace got the points. They're still 10th on 5. Villa, we'll talk about in a minute, still on 3. And Everton, of course, with that goal difference, equal points with Villa, but are in the relegation zone for this one. No, final game. Man United 0, Villa 0. So I was driving back from Comic-Con while this was on, and I stopped at the services, and it was half time, and it was 0-0, and I was like, oh, It scored quite well. And I was refreshing it just to make sure that it hadn't like stuck at 0-0 at kickoff. And I was like, said in the chat, I was like, right, everyone, give us a quick overview. What's happening? And the resounding response was, what are United doing? Like, this is poor, this is awful. And that made us laugh because the evening before, on the Saturday, I joined our friends from All for United and we had a little preview. And so many people in the chat were saying, oh, it's going to be an easy 5-0, 6-0 over Villa. It's going to be an easy 3 points walkover. And I think to the untrained eye, as it were, because Villa haven't been picking up the points, people are going to think, oh, they're an easy game. And to be fair, first half against Liverpool, awful. Yeah, fine, think that. But overall, Villa have been putting the performances in. And a lot of people, a lot of managers as well, are saying, well, actually, Villa don't deserve to be down there with the performances they've been putting in. They've been really unlucky. So the fact that this ended 0-0, because I was like, right, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a draw. Hopefully we can get something. I didn't think it would go like this. So I don't know if anyone else picked up on it, but the camera picked up on Skinner shouting a new formation within the first minute. So I don't know. I can't remember what he'd set them up as, but you could hear him going, Gabby, 4-2-3-1. And I was like, are you counting down? Or are you, what's going on? But yeah, that always ordered well with that one. They then later on in the game, when he did make some subs, they tried to change it to a 4-4-2 to try and match Villa. But by that point, it was just a bit too late. Now, annoyingly, Villa probably should have won this one. I don't know what people in the chat think or what you guys think as well. But Gabby bloody Nunez, she had the perfect opportunity to put Villa in front. Fallon Tullis-Joyce, fantastic goalkeeper. I do have to say that. And she tried to play out from the back. It went a bit wrong. Gabby Nunez had the ball at her feet, but Tullis-Joyce slides her foot out, manages to get a tiny little deflection, and it just didn't go in. And you think, is this going to be Villa's luck again? Like, the ball was right there in front of the goal and it just couldn't do it. But yeah, they tried to recycle it, but it just couldn't. And it's that issue again of Villa not being able to be clinical, because we've said before, Nunez is in these really good positions, but it's then that quality of that finish. But then the way Robert DePau is setting up the team, it's almost as if he's playing Nunez as the 9 and Rach Daly as the 10, but she's not a 10. And it doesn't work. And it's a bit like, Paul, when you were saying about, well, how's Ella and Grace Clinton going to work together, like when they're trying to do the same thing? So we've got an issue with the forwards that they're both trying to do the same thing, and then they're getting on each other's feet, and just something's not working up front. However, it was a much better lineup than the Liverpool game, where we all kind of went, sorry, why are all of your wingers on the pitch? What is going on? So Nunez being that focal point and putting pressure on United really, really worked. So that was really good. That was much better. And Villa as a whole seemed to be much more fluid, much more together. And I think in that first half, that took United by surprise. I don't think United were expecting that. And all that's missing, annoyingly, are the goals that unfortunately do win you games. But yeah, Jordan Nobbs. I don't know if I just get too excited with Thundy Bees, and I think everything's a Thundy Bee. Jordan almost had one again. I don't know if anyone else watched it. Danny, could you confirm if you saw?
This is the one where it's tipped over the bar. Is it that one? Yeah,
where Tullis-Joyce says she has to go.
Because I think she wasn't inside the area at this one for that one.
So
that doesn't count. You can't have a Thundy Bee. You can't have a Thundy Bee from inside the area. So if it was that one, that doesn't count.
I challenge that. I challenge that viewpoint, and I go back to 1997 for a goal of the month winner, Gerald Sibon for Sheffield Wednesday, in fact, with a volley from like 9 yards out. But if you dig it out on Match of the Day, I can't remember who it was against actually. I'm going to go and find it. But when you watch it on commentary and he hits it so hard, the ball, you can hear the strike like an absolute thunderclap of a strike. Yeah. There, by the way, is a classic Barclays Premiership name, Gerald Sibon. There you go. That's a classic old school Premiership name. Championship manager legend. No, for any Championship manager players in the chat. But basically, he's only about 8 yards out, but it counts as goal month because he hits it and it echoes. It sounds like a gunshot. So my argument is you can have Thunder Bastards if you can hear the strike.
If you can hear it.
It's official rules. It's written in the rules. It has to be outside the area.
Regardless of how powerful it is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it can't be a curler, and it can't be a floaty lob.
But Jordan's only little, so technically, does that not count? Because
only literally gets closer. It's like when you say to your kids when you're playing bowling, you can have the sides up.
Right. We need, Danny. Right. We need an official for the Instagram. Sam,
Document.
You're always on duty. An official. Here are the criteria for a Sunday B.
Yeah.
Anything else counts as a strike or a.
You need a new name for it. Yeah.
An almost Sunday B or.
And then I can have it next to me when I'm watching, and I can go, right, have I ticked off all these criteria before I call it a Sunday B? Yeah, that'd be very helpful. Yes, please, and thank you. But yeah, if Fallon Stories wasn't such a good goalkeeper, annoyingly, that second one definitely would have got in, and it would have been a screamer, and it would have been phenomenal. So yeah, again, Villa unlucky there. United did come out better in the second half, though. Had some nice possession. Start some really nice team moves up the pitch, but just again something just not quite there, still looking quite disjointed. Mallard had their first real chance, but Sarah Mailer managed to marshal her off. Sarah Mailer, by the way, another shout out to her, getting another start. Phenomenal, proving why she should be in that starting 11. Now, what I thought was a really good stat that I'm going to share with you. United had their first shot on target. Guess which minute?
83rd.
I think I've seen this somewhere.
72nd. They didn't have a shot on target until the 72nd minute, which kind of tells you everything. So that was courtesy of Ella Toon. And Sabs D'Angelo had to pull off a brilliant save to deny it. So that shows you in itself the kind of game that Villa were playing with that one. Talked about formation, that's fine. Jace, not Jizzy. As soon as she came on, proper immediate impact. Unlucky that she couldn't convert any of her chances. And Celine Bizet looked very frustrated as well. Again, I don't know if you saw any of her close-ups, but she was not happy. Some great battles down the wings with Grant and George on one side, and then subsequently Leon and Mannion too. Clinton probably had the closest shot for United, but again, just went wide. Lucy Parker, though, did have to go off injured, but hoping it's not too serious. Apparently after the game, she was limping a bit, but wasn't on crutches. So fingers crossed it was a precaution and she can rest this week, because it seems like every time she has a good run of form, she gets injured and it knocks her back a couple of weeks. So shout out goes to her. Some stats then. Villa had 10 shots, 4 on target, 2 off, compared to United's 5 shots, 1 on target and 4 off target. Villa had 27 touches in the opposition box, where United only had 10. So again, a massive point for Villa. Probably should have won it, but again, we've been saying that all season, to be honest. DePau did say, and this is where we can get to our final talking point of the evening. DePau in his post-match said, he's sick of performing well but not getting the points. So he's really, really frustrated. And he said, it's time to reward ourselves with the points. Skinner, on the other hand, said, but we're a brand new team. Hashtag still a brand new podcast. Yeah. And the number of players I've had to buy to try and close the gap and the actual time we've had together, we've had to accelerate. Not many teams in the world have had to do it that quick. In the world. Not just the league, the world. Yeah. He also stressed, it's another clean sheet. The unrest in the fan base is getting louder and louder. Do we think he will last to the end of the season with all of the Skinner out chants and signs? And even people in the media as well are starting to question it. So, Danny, what do you reckon? Will they still keep him to the end of his contract?
I think because I think he somehow gets to a point where he gets the Skinner out and the hullabaloo kicks off again, and people actually realise that it's not great. And then he pulls a result out of nowhere against someone, and then sort of keeps them up in the top 5, and he ticks along in the cup competitions and stuff. And he never, the issue just never gets addressed because he just ticks it over a little bit. It's never phenomenal, but it's enough to keep him in a job because he talks the talk. And I'm assuming he talks the talk in the boardroom as well when he gets questioned on this kind of thing as well. He comes out with all this stuff in the boardroom. But you're not a new team, are you?
You've got a couple of new players.
I thought like 5 minutes ago they were the same but different. And now they're a new team.
Same but different. They're still a new team. Yeah, because I think someone said, out of the 11, like, was it 7 or 8 of them have been like the starting 11? So it's not even as if like he's got a brand new team, like in every position. You didn't have to have a brand new team either. He's got rid of some good players as well. And yeah. Absolutely. Because a lot of the time people are saying, it's because Russo's gone, it's because Earps has gone, it's because, Badger's gone. But look at all the people he's forced out.
Yeah,
Vilda Barisa, Irene
Nikita Paris.
That's a convenient narrative, and that is spread by the fact he has friends in the media through his wife, Laura Bassett, being very good friends with very influential football media people who all seem to defend him.
Yeah.
I mean, as to whether he's going to get sacked, right? There's going to be a case if the whole world descends into nuclear war with all this stuff going on in Ukraine, as the sun rises over a devastated planet with, mushroom clouds fading away in the distance, sirens echoing on the air, the things that will survive are cockroaches and Mark Skinner sticking his head out of the Man United dugout. Like, genuinely, he'll be there. If there are a bunch of cockroaches in Man United shirts in a post-nuclear apocalypse, he will be there managing them as the only human. Like,
it's because he rolled down into the bit around the pitch to survive. That's
the man has cockroach blood. Like, he just survives anything.
It's because they won an FA Cup. That's why.
They're still unbeaten as well, aren't they?
They're still unbeaten because Fallon Tullis-Joyce happens to be a good goalie, unlike the previous one.
I mean, Villa definitely deserved to win that game. Yeah, for example.
And they must be the worst unbeaten team ever, by some considerable distance.
The Invincibles. They're going to go the season unbeaten just by drawing games 0-0.
The Unwatchables is what they are.
They'll finish 5th, but they've drawn so many games 0-0 just to stay unbeaten.
Yeah, they'll finish like 5th on 22 points, and everyone will go.
It's like, what?
Good season. He's finished top 5. I mean,
the comments there about Ineos not caring enough about United women for him to be sacked, but he also said, I think it was last week, we're above our benchmark, so we're doing well. And it's like, well,
what's your benchmark as a Man United team?
Yeah, but what is, like, how low are your expected standards? That, being in, where are we? Let's have a look. Being in 5th is above where their benchmark is. And it's like, what? Like, as a manager, what have you been told as your...
what's their meeting at the start of the season with the owners?
Yeah, don't get relegated.
Finish 6th, yeah.
The bar is on the floor and Mark Skinner's still trying to dig under it. And yet, he is still...
Yeah, so about the media changing, yes, this is what I meant. So Farrah Williams has also started to criticise, and she starts to go the other way now, regardless of that friendship. Yeah, so
she isn't getting invited to Christmas dinner?
No. But yeah, it's going to be Christmas with the Skinners. Oh, that'd be a good reality show, wouldn't it?
Coming soon to Channel 5.
Can you imagine it? He'd be making the Christmas dinner, and like the Yorkshire puddings would be for actual pudding, and like you'd have things out of position. You'd have like sprouts instead of prawn cocktail for the starter, and then Bucks Fizz as breakfast drink, and then cups of tea with dinner, and all that sort of stuff. You know, actual Yorkshire puddings with maple syrup in them or something.
Serve a chicken. So like it's the same as turkey, but different.
Yeah. Like, Mark, I didn't order this. It's the same but different.
Yeah. It's the same but different.
It's a new table.
This is burnt, Mark. Oh, the cook's still learning. He's only been in the job 6 years. Like,
he hasn't adapted to this hob yet. It's early days.
We had a benchmark of him not giving us salmonella, and it's burned to a crisp. So like
he's gone above and beyond. Just
leaving the centerpiece of the Christmas dinner, the bit that's supposed to be the most popular bit, isolated at one end of the table. Like, just everything at one end, and then the star bit of the Christmas dinner, like the actual turkey, is just at the other end of the table, completely ignored because nobody can get to it. Like,
Skinner. Yeah, he's an interesting soul, isn't he? So yeah, unrest. The unrest is getting worse. It's getting
by
loud.
Interesting, you mean shit?
I mean, hey, I've got to be semi-professional. I mean, you say what you want, though. That's why.
I think we are being professional because, like,
tell me how it is.
Do you reckon his benchmark for going to the toilet is only pee on half the seat? Like, it's going, well, most of it's in the toilet. Some of it's on the seat, so it's not perfect, but most of it's in the toilet. It's the same but different.
I got it in the vicinity. It's fine. Yeah.
If he does get sacked, by the way, halfway through the season, do you think they'll turn to a former Man United men's team hero to come and take the
all right, Phil Neville's agent. Here we go.
Phil, I'm trying, Phil. Right, just calm down. 3 times I did this night.
He's earning his bonus, Phil. If you hadn't screwed up at Valencia, it'd be a lot easier. I mean,
honestly, watch this space for the announcement.
You get the feeling they actually, but with the way they're marketing Man United and everything, they're going to sign Pere Romero because people will think he's hot. I mean, that man has style, the new Barcelona manager. He really does.
It's very good, isn't it?
But just went and looked and went, oh, that's a proper matinee idol football manager. That's.
I thought you were going to say Matador, and I was like.
I mean, he has to wrangle the amount. If he's Mark Skinner's assistant, he'd have to wrangle bullshit.
So be used to it. Yeah. We shall see.
No, Graham, I am not indulging Danny with the Phil Neville hashtag.
Hashtag get Phil in.
Hashtag Phil in.
Hashtag Phil my boots.
Hashtag Phil 'em in.
Hashtag polyfiller.
Creamy. We'll go for the BSM Cup. Hashtag creamy filling.
Oh God.
Oh.
That was worth it.
And this is the final episode of the podcast. We will never be seen again.
If we win this award, I'm going to be absolutely. The other people on the nominations list are going to be like, what?
That's the clip right there.
Yeah,
that's the clip that wins it.
Those fans.
Although
here to present the award is a former Everton and Manchester United left back.
It's probably going to be Jermaine Genius, let's be honest.
Yeah. Or Mark Skinner.
Friend
It's
of the
not going to be
podcast.
Jermaine Genius, is it?
Just Mark Skinner and Jermaine Genius. Do you reckon a stage could hold that much male mediocrity on one stage? Like that's like the most spectacularly mediocre footballing. That's like the Ballon d'Or, isn't it?
The Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or. See, Graham, his influence is sneaking in now. You know, the puns are getting better.
Yeah, it's been a good run. I was so glad I didn't miss it. We'll be the first podcast to win an award less than a week after being cancelled.
I mean, podcast after dark. There you go. That's what it is.
Yeah, hashtag podcast after dark. Absolutely. So last thing I will ask you then, my good friends, out of those fixtures, what are you looking forward to this weekend? Danny, we'll start with you.
We've mentioned it before. It's Chelsea, Man City, and there's a lot of good games this weekend. But that is just the pinnacle of what, with those two teams at the level they are at the moment. That is, you've got to watch that match. Just cancel any plans. Go and watch it. Is it on? It must be on something. It's BBC or Sky. Which one? Must be.
It's going to be on Sky. I think the BBC have the North London derby actually.
North London derby, Merseyside derby.
I can offer you because it's on a Saturday at 1:45. That's Spurs Arsenal North London derby, 5:30. That sounds a bit Sky Sportsy, doesn't it?
That's very Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, no way is Emily Heaslip reffing the North London derby. Oh, that
Is
was
she?
Oh, that's fun.
Fantastic. Oh, couldn't have got better.
Katie McCade had a good run, didn't she? Being good.
That is.
And then it ended. It ended.
That is team ref chaos. That's just.
Oh, that's.
The universe is smiling upon us.
I can't wait. I can't wait to watch that. So that is for people interested. So so Saturday we've got Brighton West Ham at 12:30, Spurs Arsenal at 1:45, and Chelsea City at 5:30. And then we've got on the Sunday we've got Villa Palace at 2. I'll be in the press box for that one. Managed to sneak me win. Everton Liverpool at 3 and Leicester United at 3 as well. But yeah, it's going to be a phenomenal week.
It is nice to see the Merseyside derby being given its due this time round after we ranted about how it wasn't even being covered.
Exactly, yeah. So the fact it's at Goodison is going to be.
Tony's just made a good point as well. McCabe against Razzo as well. That's
going to be so good.
Battle.
That's just going to be people seeing who can kick each other the highest, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ball will be incidental in that.
Yes.
Particular.
So, what do you mean you can only get 2 yellow cards in a game? I want 7.
But I just think I'm with Danny. You cannot, with all due respect to all the other teams, you cannot look past Chelsea versus Man City for sheer potential. That is a title fight of a game in every sense of the word. Right? You know, that is 2 of the best teams probably in the world at this point. Both in superb form.
Yeah.
Both with a point to prove for different reasons. You know, I hope that's a ding dong. I hope that's a 7-goal thriller. And I hope you guys on here next week are talking about it, because I believe we have a guest next week. We saw in the schedule as well.
Do we?
And of course, that's the pre-award. That's the pre-award show one as well. So you know.
Yes, because remember, everyone, it is the awards evening on the 21st, I believe. 1, 2. Oh crap! Was that next week?
It is.
Yes, it is. Oh, I should probably book me hotel, shouldn't
I can't come down. I'm gutted because
no,
I can't pull. You know, when you pay part time like I am, I can't pull 200 quid out of the BSM Cup to go and find I'd love to. So I'm going to have to live vicariously through you guys on social media.
Yeah, same.
We shall. Possibly a first one.
Award-winning. Award-nominated. I'm getting ahead of myself. Touch wood.
No, but we're manifesting award-winning. No, it's not on a podcast night. It's on a Thursday.
Lower league.
Yeah, so it's lower league.
Lower league. Oh, well.
That's amazing because that means the Rowdy Rabble tomorrow can just spend most of the show casually going, we're not here next week because we're all down in that there London.
London.
Well, it's full of, you've got Ant and Shah and Claire on there. It's just all the Northern Rowdy Rabble just going, we're all down in that there London.
Live streaming from the awards. That would be hilarious. That'd be great. And in honor of that, we are going to stop talking now because I think it's past everyone's bedtimes. But thank you so much for everyone who's stuck with us to talk all things Championship, WSL, and everything in between. But don't forget, you can like, subscribe, share, follow, love, everything that gets us found by more people because we've got a cracking little community here. So remember, it's not just us on a Wednesday talking all things women's football. We've got the Premier League show on a Monday and Lower League on a Thursday as well. So if you haven't already, you can catch us on Twitter at Absolute Ball Pod, YouTube at Absolute Football Podcast, Twitch, Absolute Football Podcast as well. On TikTok, we are at Absolute Football Pod. On Instagram and Threads at Absolute Football Podcast with an underscore. And then Facebook is the Absolute Football Podcast too. So do give us a like, subscribe and everything. And of course, next week is the awards. We'll be keeping you up to date there. Danny, thank you so much. Been lovely to see you. Where can people find more of you if they'd like to?
Yes, here. At Danny Brothers on Twitter /X. At Danny the Brothers on Instagram, all things Northampton Town men and women, which I will shout out Northampton Town women this weekend, this Sunday, local derby against Peterborough, second against third in the table in the FA Women's National League, Division 1 Midlands. It's going to be great, and I'm hoping to be there. It's going to be fun.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And Paul, where can people find more of you, please?
You can find me on my amazing nails. If I can point the right way. Hang on. Just an excuse to show me nails off, honest. There we go. At Paul W Radio. And I'm normally not quite as dirty-minded as I might have been at points this evening. I blame the chat and the BSM Cup. But yes, I'm on there potentially shouting about Coventry City. And if not, it'll be trying to be professional talking about women's football, usually failing.
Angering everyone in the process. But that's why we like it. We like it. And before I sign off, Graham's give us a fun fact. The recommended distance between services is 28 miles or 30 minutes, whichever is shorter. Well, what about the roads that don't have services? And they very helpfully say, no services. No, not good. Not good at all. Someone did ask me earlier, I think it was Matthew, asked me which services I stopped at. Annoyingly, I can't remember. But I'll have it for you for next time. Because I don't know. Somewhere between Liverpool and Lincoln. It was somewhere over the M62. I'd gone across the Pennines. Right. Last thing I will say. You go across that lovely road of the M62 and you're like, oh, highest motorway, highest point. Beautiful surroundings. It was dark when I drove over it and when I drove back. So I didn't see a thing at all. And it was very heartbreaking. However, you can follow me if you'd like to at Freya Writes on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever you want to find me. Or if you've got any friends who support Aston Villa Women or you yourself, we've got a brand new podcast called Part of the Pride, and we are live Thursdays at 8:00. And we have special guests tomorrow, Connor and Barry from All for United, and we're going to be doing a match. What's it called? Review. Hey, there we go. Well, I was going to say preview, and I was like, no, the match has already happened. What's it called? Yeah. Match preview from the weekend. So do join us if you can. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you all. And we will see you again next week. So thank you very much. Good evening and goodbye.